Hello. So we actually, I know it's been like crazy with time. I said like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock on Instagram Pacific. So it probably was a little confusing, but we made it. Gina, I think she may be coming. Let's see. So she'll let us know here soon. So it's a
Did you
six
put
of
it in the
diamonds.
group thread too?
Hmm?
Shall I put it in the group thread too, or can you put it in the group thread too, or you want to just leave it like that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Um, so it is a six of diamonds. So that does deal with delays, stagnation. Sometimes it may not be best. Oh man, I was just had a conversation about the six of diamonds energy also as far as debts and the repayment of karma. So six of diamonds deals with a lot of karma. A lot of times it can be um, I can be considered a little chaotic, even though it can be stagnation. But I guess you can say on the lesser developed side, it can be a lot. I guess depressed. Dealing with not knowing where to put one's energy. So that can deal with delay, stagnation, or um, procrastination.
Not knowing where to put your energy, that's such a great like build, right? Because I listened to something recently with Huberman Labs. He's doing such great information. He's a real genius guy, brings out things for us to consider. And he talked about the new currency being dopamine. And that
Mm.
the ability to regulate your dopamine and have dopamine and energy to like be creative is really the currency, like the current creation kind of currency. And so he was talking about like, well, how does it work, to the person that was interviewing him, like where dopamine comes from and the rushes and the highs, and how our patterns and our cycles kind of create these hits and pickups and drops of dopamine that we've kind of built into the ride. And sometimes we get to choose how to use it. So what I just heard you say is that we get depressed because we don't have the focus, like the clarity about what it is that we want to put our energy into, and you just get bummed. You're just like, oh, whatever. Like, what matters? It's like, where does it go? Like, how does mine work? How does mine not get overextended and kind of clarify itself so I can be focused and deliver whatever I deliver. Whoever you are, wherever you are. And I think that does start to distress. It would distress a tree, right? It's like stagnation from different, traumatic things that happen to the tree. But for us, it's different beliefs that we have in our understanding of life and experience. And so they hold energy, like in fear pockets or shame, shame walls or whatever. So those energies just kind of hang there. So whatever wants to be active and percolating and go up and down and move everything around has to move around the parts that are just, I don't care, whatever, because some parts said, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
What?
when you said I thought about like Zeus, like thunder, lightning, shocking someone, trying to wake you up, and but you're not getting the message is oversensitized. Like you said, it's just a lot of energy, not knowing where to put it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Overstimulation of senses, as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, and it can produce confusion, stagnation. And one thing about the six of diamonds, education is really important. So making sure that they understand and getting like some type of mentorship. You know, especially you have nine of clubs. I'm sorry, a nine of clubs, and then was there a baby? Did I hear a baby?
Oh, wait, what?
I thought I heard a baby. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. Miles is in the kitchen. I don't know what he moved around, but
Okay. But yeah, so the education is very important. Someone that help kind of groom them, and the produce that discipline because it's six or seven, they need discipline as well. Um, Training of some type of skill, uh, finding a focus, concentrated effort and focus. Yeah. You have your cards. You can want to show your cards of the six of diamonds that has like um, two lines or two paths, like two threes. You want to show the six of diamonds? You have it.
uh-huh. The card in my giant cards.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I started to play with the StreamYard game because I was trying to see how to pass it to my land too. So you mean it's balanced? That's why they say the 6 balance is giving and receiving, because it like runs back and forth in a balanced way.
Yeah, and you can see there's harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Just sometimes they say the threes are chaotic and erratic, but if you have a focus energy or the focus three,
Oh yeah, so like the 2 3s matching is a 6, right? Because like if you do this one and this one,
the three.
that's really a 6, right? You know what I mean? Because those are those 2 6 energies working together like that, the same way
Yeah,
that this one would.
and the cosmic lesson for the fixed diamonds is the spades. Let's see.
This has been a big week. You know, my granddaughter was born on Monday. I met all these Giannas. I saw the Barbie movie for a second time and I had a whole different experience. So that was fun too. And
Mhm.
just so much has been happening around this balancing and understanding of everybody's part.
As far as in the family or
Yeah,
within.
and the dynamics, you know what I mean? Like, and what your own part is and where you lean in and where you pull back, you know, like just are you standing in your line? Are you holding your part? Right? Or are you like, you know, softening for the other, you know, you're 5 in it, you're like bending into the middle or whatever, you know, like you're trying to hold like everything together, but maybe both things aren't strong enough to stand by themselves the way they need to be, you know what I mean? Because you're kind of leaning into the middle, you know, so maybe that 6 gives more of that like sovereignty, and then the 7, you know. I don't know how this they line up in the 7 card. I never thought about that. Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's all in your heart. Like you're in that alignment, but it's in your heart. Like it's you running you in your heart. You're not like hooking down to the middle trying to make sure you're not alone or letting things change all the time and losing your soul. You're standing in your truth and you're in your heart. So you're that kind of smart. And there you go. And then you have above and below. Then you have like both sides, and then you have the above and below. You have that loop. You're like working for a reason. You're moving. You're like nothing's gonna stop you. You're like dun, 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 dun. Interesting.
Yeah, the when you say the 6, like being solid, kind of being like planting your values, especially with the 6 of diamonds, the family and the core, the family core and the values that's passed along and taking responsibility, is really important. So we was talking about like the 6 of diamonds has a 4 of spades and Mercury. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's the looking at, I guess, the how you can protect, your newborn. It would be really important. Passing on like core family values. Taking responsibility, and which ways were like those things seen or which like what would you expound on as far as like what was how everyone played their part or maybe was playing in their role with what they presented in I guess it wasn't as far as like taking care of her or just understanding each other's roles in as far as the family.
Taking care of who?
No, you said the little one, a newborn, right?
Oh yeah,
Um,
the newborn. I mean, she's so set up. She has a Queen of Spades sister and her two of diamonds parents, and she has like an 8 of Spades grandmother and a 2 of Diamonds grandpa, and a 7 of Hearts grandpa and a King of Diamonds grandma. Like they're so full of like energy coming towards them to like be loved. But I hear you about the values. You know, I recognize that there's certain things that get laid down almost energetically, like even though there was a resistance as my kids grew, all of them were put out in nature or outside with me as much as possible because that's what I did. You know, that was my thing. When my granddaughter was born and I had the opportunity to be with her for some time when her mom went back to work, I just walked around the yard every day and just made her see the plants and the trees and just like sang with her and stuff. Like that was something that for my innate intelligence, I was like, oh, I gotta make sure we feel connected to everything. You know what I mean? And so how to teach them right and wrong is so interesting because it really is about how they're going to internalize life and just, you know, because that whole idea of like don't ever hurt people or be good all the time. Like, that's not really grooming authenticity. You really want them to be safe to be themselves and kind of intuitively meet them. And that can be tricky because we're all busy. When you're busy, you just like it to be easy. And sometimes when somebody's figuring something out for the first time, it's not easy. It's slow and it's patient. So I think those early values are really important, but I think they kind of come to the kids just through experience. Do you know what I mean? I don't even know if words are doing it as much as, I lean on my words because I have a good word game, but I believe it's what they see and what they notice and how you feel when you're around it and how they notice that.
Mm-hmm. Setting a good example, I guess you could say.
Yeah, like if dad's having a great time cleaning his garage and making it feel super, and he's in a good mood cleaning his garage, and he just really enjoys hanging out in his garage, kids can be like, yeah, it's nice to have a clean garage. Like, that looks really cool. Like, he really values having stuff where it goes. Like, but if he's yelling and claiming and everyone, they're like, whoa, what the heck's going on over there? So like you show your values, so if you're a perfectionist, your kids know you're a perfectionist. And they may or may not value the same thing, or they may learn it and they didn't really want to learn it. Like, that perfectionist thing is really weird because, like, perfect to what? Yeah,
like stuff. I think a lot of times, with the Six of Diamonds, they have a King of Hearts and Mercury as well, almost. So the father, I think, plays a very important role to being and setting the example. And sometimes, I'm not gonna say all the time, like even if the home itself isn't, I guess in the best environment, they should have a father figure or someone that sets the best example. The King of Hearts has a Six of Diamonds in Neptune, so it's like they a lot of times the responsibility lies on them to be like the role model, in some type of way, and showing good character. So I think when it comes to perfectionism and those things, looking up to your parents, and I think sometimes even if we're not able to please them, you want to make them proud in some type of way.
Yeah. And that's like your own burden that you wear, right? Nobody even knows you're wearing it. Like, I've revealed certain deep beliefs that I had, and some of my older friends and family members like, really? You think like that? You thought that? And it's just like, you're not even telling people the way you're internalizing this idea that, like, I want to show them I can do it, or I'm someday gonna blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever the thing is that you might just be like pushing for on a secret highway, like I so many times at the bar or in the hospitals, people be like, I'm working on something, but I just don't want everybody to see it until it's done. And I'm like, dude, that's so great. Like, if you only knew how many times I've heard that different ways. it's like, it's not going to get done. It's not like that.
Stagnation. Yeah. And to think about that, like the Six of Diamonds, I think that could be their problem as well. They have a nine of clubs. I was giving it. I have that issue a lot sometimes as well. I think I have a nine of clubs in Uranus, right? So with the King of Spades, it transforms into the nine of clubs, right? So something must be produced, in order to teach or give. You can't, like, you have to find a way to release it, right?
But wouldn't that be a change of like values in that? Okay, so say that energy of the King of Spades, that productive, that like push that comes through, understands production in what, like, money or access or popularity, whatever the idea of success is that it's pushing for, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're to change that value for the success being like, was I active inside my body today? Was the energies moving? Was I authentic? Was I able to move forward? Or not even judge any of it, just be like, was I present today? And making that the mark of like, was I aware and present in my interactions today? Like, and just grow that bigger and see what you feel. Because the idea of this pressure, because to be productive or to be healthy and vibrant the way a king want to be, he's got to be an example. He's got to be holding it. He's going to be living it, right? Because that's what's going to inspire. Otherwise, it's like you're putting together some illusion. You're like, you too can have this illusion if you learn how to play your cards right.
I think that's the catch-22 of life, I guess.
Right.
Because without production, there is no life. That is labor, the wisdom of labor. Is to learn experience that comes with it. To
Hmm.
understand and to be all knowing, right? To know what's important, what's not important, to know where to lay your values, where not to lay them. What's production, um, what's going to give you a return, right? With the non-club 60 dot, that's my
Hmm.
non-club 60 diamond support. All right, so what's gonna, um, how do you tap in that? I guess you can say
But
the
it's an activation of your own like decision to decide to ask different questions, because the question of why did this happen to me? What it's not fair, blah blah blah. Those are not questions that are gonna grow anything, right? Those are questions of just like, slamming your feet, taking out the garbage kind of stuff. And so when you sing the song of like, what's happening? What's trying to grow through? What else can I see? Where's the miracle in this today? I'm curious. Like that's going to bring a whole different response. Like the essence of what Father Anthony said. One of my mentors, he really just beat it into my head with his recordings that we have to wake up to the fact that we're deeply programmed by concepts.
Mhm. No, I think it's internal. That's why the cards and everything else is interesting. But I think once you have reached the King of Spades, it is laughable. Like it is not. You have Queen of Hearts, Ace of Clubs. You do find you are in the moment. You do find joy. You find joy in the questions as well. So I think that what
Right,
keeps you on,
right.
that keeps you curious, is to ask questions and to be joyful and to find understanding or gain understanding, and you have to find a sense of to be carefree. The King of Spades is, they say, heavy is the crown that wears it, right? Um,
Hmm.
it comes with a lot of responsibility also. You can't get lost in that, because and sometimes they may find the path to success seemingly easier than everyone else's. That's January the 1st. And
But
we'll
then
see.
they're also struggling to have relationship. And now that we're recognizing the value of collaboration and relationship, they're kind of underdogs.
Who, the King of Spades is underdogs?
Well, in that the top down power dynamic is not holding the frequency as strongly. So the collaborative, shared, you know, economy and such is more awakening to the souls. And the idea of somebody controlling you or making a little more than you or you looking up to them, people are like, no, that's okay. I'm going to try to line mine up and see how high I see all by myself, that I'm not necessarily like holding on to your approval or your bank book to make sure I'm okay. But back in the day of the stronger business model of capitalism and such, that was top dog. And I'm not saying that's who the King of Spades is, but in the current programming that we're living in, that's how it's being informed. Like that doesn't mean the energy of King of Spades. That's like in the food we're eating, in the soup we're sharing, the message is this.
Domination.
Well, maybe the residue of domination. I'm sure there's a consciousness that's opening in every card.
Well, I say that because of the Eight of Diamonds. So I'm just being programmed. But
You're always picking fights, bro. He's such an asshole like that.
um,
A little instigator, man.
maybe
I'm
so.
just playing. No, you're not. I'm loving. I'm just kidding.
I like the Eight of Diamonds. My
Yeah.
cousin is very controlling. He's very. I think within that field, I think it does get twisted. That's
When
why.
I heard that they had the King of Spades so close to them in relationship, I tell you, it made it so much easier for me because there was such a force that the Eight of Diamonds energy and I and a tension that would happen between us, and I'd be like, "What the hell is this?" And not all of them, some we were just different types of girls, so it didn't even like matter. It's like, "Oh, you're that girl there, I'm this girl here," like Barbie's in the same land. But when you have one that's kind of similar to you and they have their own choice and they come at me with such a force. But now I get that King of Spades interplay into that card and how it runs so strong like that. Like they're in the royal family for the King of Spades. They're grooming themselves for that, right? So they're not necessarily maybe as loyal or want to hear from the anything more than what they know, because that's how we all are. That's how you think you're holding on to yourself, but you're kind of holding on to whatever you think you know.
Oh, is it a think you know with the King of Spades? I think they know.
Well,
Like I know it's not really a think at this point, and that's the experience, like you're saying with all the cards, and the experience you're kind of speaking with the six of diamonds almost as well.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mercury, it came from a Saturn position, um, Saturn Jupiter, but they sit Mercury Jupiter. So they really know, right? So, and they have the four space and Mercury, so the experience, the
Oh, so you think it's hard for the king person to hear from them that they know better than me because they were like trained better because they know it from that deep place?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that?
right, exactly, yeah, yeah, because they have the people around them. The kings in those cards are like, as you say, like personality. What's grooming you sometimes. It can be a father, mother, whomever, but they're still going to have that king energy, and a lot of times it can be a mentor sometimes as well, with
Mm-hmm.
that energy. So yeah, there's a certain amount of knowing, and also knowing who you are. If especially you have it early on, maybe if you have it later on, it could be an absence of those particular people in those positions, or you growing into those parts of leadership or whatever it may be later on in life. But still, you still probably acknowledge yourself, or see yourself in those particular lights. But it may not be as confident. I have a king in the cosmic lesson and one that's a reward. You know, so I have to get through like my Pluto to get to my kings. Yeah.
Oh, and what's your Pluto? What do you feel your Pluto work is?
The Two of Hearts, relationships. Yeah. Um, so yeah, just relationships. How do I expectations within relationships are there, especially with the Ace of Spades, Two of Hearts. You want to look at dependency, codependency, and with Three of Diamonds, they may isolate. Be comfortable with isolation. So you really have to work out the partnerships and relationships. And once you get into one, is there anything from the absence of it that could have carry over into daily habits or
Mm-hmm.
what you do um, in life? So it can be a challenge sometimes going through Pluto for certain people. So yeah, but the Two of Hearts also is a very successful in using their intuition and everything else with the three of diamonds as well. But not to mention about us. But yeah, but
That's interesting. I'm wondering about what do you feel happens to your energy in relationships that changes your clarity, right? Because you say that the Two of Hearts is like, so it's like being in relationship but staying sovereign, right?
mhm.
So then in relationships, what are the habits or beliefs that play into not staying sovereign?
I think it's dependent for everyone. Um, like it just depends on what they've been, kind of like you said, what they've taken on, what they've seen, their life experiences. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, just the habits that, especially with, like I said, with the Pluto card, a lot of times it may be built habits and those things, or a type of response that you've created. Something maybe deep down inside as well, in the back of your head or your mind. That you may not even think about, but it could be there. So it could be maybe even fear sometimes with those particular positions. So
Mm-hmm.
or control issues, could come into play.
So then it's not really control if you think you're right. You're like pushing for what you know is true.
Yeah, maybe what you desire, either or. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I say it's not always a bad thing to be, I guess, in the know, or have a deep desire, or to have icons, or archetypes. You know, the father with that six of diamonds is very important. to their life. And also with the seven of hearts, you help the seven of hearts up. Seven of diamonds, real diamonds, especially they may not have the best stabilized homes early on in life with the three of diamonds, but the six of diamonds definitely may not either. Six of diamonds has the five of hearts and Pluto. Five of hearts can be homelessness in some cases, so that can be someone that could be without a home or going through a lot of different type of situations. But I was talking about somebody else. I was like, sometimes the army teaches you discipline. Sometimes people need those people around them to teach them discipline because without it, you got to know how to work within chaos. It's harmony and balance, right? But it's a long road in the journey, right? You're gonna hit a lot of different hurdles, humps, experiences, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. I suppose in my calculator, I always put it all together for some reason. Like that seems to be the way I like to like summarize and assess things when I listen. And I just feel that there's that path, like you're talking about a path, and that certain paths have certain challenges, and that there's just paths. Like everyone has a path, and it's like learning to drive your path, like learning how to navigate your vehicle on the road that's yours. It's just been a brain game that I've been keep seeing. Like when people talk, I'm like, oh, it's really like a path. It's like, this happens here. How do you straighten it out? What do you do? It's changing. It takes time. Like, how do you just keep your path? Because I think the way we're being kept now, some of us, at times, is in the loops of our mind, right? So that's not really the path. That's just your response to the path. It's just your story that you're plugging into your life experience. There's literally a journey for every card in the cycles, for every person in the life cycles. So they're happening all the time. So I'm just really focusing and listening to you, and I keep hearing like it's all patterns of natural unfolding, and stories are holding the concepts on them.
Yeah, I have a response for every why a certain card is and why archetype is in the placement. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. It is a
It's like putting concepts on top of energy.
yeah, and so you get to understand and know why. I guess
Yeah,
based.
well, you get to become familiar. Like we were listening to something about narcissism, and the guy's been studying narcissism for 30 years. I mean, he must be a narcissist, right?
Oh man,
But 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 I thought it was great. It was a good interview. He had humor. He was humorous, but it was just comical to me. I was cracking up about it. But he was just talking about how much it has to do with agreeableness, and
what?
openness and agreeableness and openness because of the neuroticism. Like the grandiose, like, look at me, ha ha ha, like, all right, whatever, give him a bunch of wind, leave him be. But that neurotic underbelly needing the validation and not having any agreeableness or openness, like he talked about, it's like you're hiding inside the spot in a fantasy of what you could be if you came out, but you're not going to come out, and everybody around you is dealing with like your unagreeableness and all the stuff that you are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not ecosystems, circles touching circles, collaboration. It's like it feeds, grows stagnation.
And alienation.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, like with the Ace of Spades, Two of Hearts, Ace of like partnerships and people are important, especially with the Ace
Mm-hmm.
of Spades. I consider the Ace of Spades almost like the Hermit, right? Even if you
Yeah,
look at it at
yeah.
Ace of Spades, I don't know how it plays on your cards, but it's like a man with the lamp. Sometimes, well, how I see it, maybe that's just in my head. Yeah, like a man with
I
the
don't think
lamp.
it's in your head. I know I have an Ace of Spades coming up for my next 52-day card.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be interesting.
Depending on where it's placed at, but yeah, that'd be really interesting when we talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it depends
Changes.
on where it is. But it's bringing information and things to the light.
Oh, that's what's happening. I told you what's happening. It's so exciting. But that's the whole thing about dopamine. So this cat talking about dopamine really like turned me on to like that's the juice. It's not did I do what I said I was going to do? Because that's been the juice, right? Like the juice has been like, did I do what I said? Did I do what I said? Like, ugh, right? So, but the juice is like, am I flowing? Where's my pockets of creativity? Where am I building? Where am I letting it go down naturally and build up again? Like thankfully I'm a good sleeper, so that really helps me as a person. But there's a way that on August 23rd is when my cards switch, and I'm in Mercury, so it'll be the next one. In Venus, I have the Ace of Spades. Or Mars. What, Venus? Venus, second one?
You say you're in Mercury now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be Venus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. What was you saying?
Did I lose you in my melody? Was I
Yeah.
bouncing through words and you're like, oh, she's dabbling. I don't know.
No,
I'll just deal with
no,
it.
no. Yeah, I thought that was the end of the story. I'm sorry.
I don't even know. I was definitely looking at when I transitioned to the Ace of Spades, so I was definitely a little like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So,
Okay.
but I was, but I was speaking about. Oh, now the dryer is gonna go on. I'm gonna move. But can you hear the dryer?
No, you're fine. It's not.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
well.
Okay. No,
But
I was.
dependency upon dopamine.
Yeah, the recognition that there's a dependency on dopamine and that you want to understand how to manage your dopamine in a way that you're just creating what you want to create, like just regularly creating, however that is, whether it's dinner or a beautiful walk or a book or a painting, like creating, like instead of all your energy, like you talked about in the beginning, being dispersed in these ways. If they're creative, then go be it, but keep your dopamine channels in such a way that you can trust and move you in grace, because using others for dopamine, like everybody likes me, like I've had that dopamine so many times, like, and I think the universe did it so that when it really happens I won't be that affected, because I learned that it's not real. Like it's real because people are feeling what they're feeling and they're activated in their own hearts, but it doesn't feed me, it feeds them. And if I hold my sovereignty and stay clear, all of that goes back to them and they feel that love. So there was a way, and as a younger person, like I didn't like the attention. So it wasn't like more, but I knew when I got it, I could be manipulative with it. And I really didn't want to be. So I got challenged a lot of times on how are you going to use this power you're given? Because people are going to give you pretty much whatever you want. So what are you going to do with that?
Yeah, you have a 10. You have a 10 of
Hearts and 10 of diamonds.
yeah, 10 of hearts and 10 of diamonds. Even if you don't want the attention, it's going to come, right?
Oh yeah, so it's inherent in the life path.
And like you said, you can be addicted to the attention, or you can be knowing how to use it.
Right. So the neurotic narcissist would need the attention to keep soothing its insecurities, right? So that would be a way that it would use its way of always getting attention. This King of Hearts, King of Diamonds, I want to be pulsing in my heart space so that I can like inspire potentially a new way of existing. I'm all in my soul game. Like I feel like that's who I work for, is like the wisdom inside of us. So, but that's my path. That's the character that I play. I'm Groisha, right? So I know my source connection and my ability to be in the oneness is what's going to sustain my wholeness and inspire the femininity that wants to grow through this dude like girl.
He said, "Just do like girl." That's just such a king statement. That's such a woman. That's a king. like I'm trying to hold it down and like.
I don't want to be a dude like girl, but I'm a dude like girl, man.
He's like pushing me here.
I know, and like I have like this bracelet on. It's the dude's kind of bracelet, but I'm like, but that's the one that fits me right. Even when I used to get watches, these little dainty things, I'm like, I can't wear no dainty shit like that on my hand. Like that looks ridiculous. I'd be getting this like big watch because that's what felt like me.
Yeah. But the what was I gonna say? I was listening to someone the other day, and they were saying that it's the discipline that motivates them and not the emotions.
That's sexy. Yeah. I'd love to learn how to do that shit. Bring it on. Yes, I say yes. My new moon prayer: make discipline sexy.
Yeah. So, and then you have two hearts, so it's hard not to be emotionally. I'm not saying you can't be emotional, but it's not
But
to.
that can be a discipline too, because you can have the emotions and you can do the dances with them, but you can be putting it into channels. Like you talk about depression, it's like if you have a place to put it, it's just energy.
Mhm.
Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Whether it's like bantering it out or going for a run or doing something fun or dancing, like, but it's like it's just energy. The
No, yeah.
stories are what gives it the, and like even when I hear myself tell the stories now, I'm like, don't ever say it like that again. Like my mission when I'm done with the book and stuff, when I go on like my tour, I decided it's gonna be tell your story like it happened for you. Like I dare you. Tell your story to think about everything that happened in a way that it happened for you and like see the magic in yourself. And then like see what happens. Because as soon as you change the story, it has to change chemistry, like chemically, because it just does. Every word makes a chemical.
No, it does. That's why we kind of are able to see patterns, language. We've put definition around these chemical reactions, joy, happiness. It's a certain way it makes you feel. You can kind of see it. It changes your environment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that's what philosophy and everything else is based upon, is studying how and why and those things and changing patterns. So yeah, so telling your story as if it is for you. It's also the six of diamonds in itself as well. You know, it's kind of knowing that nothing is working. You have to know that nothing is really working against you. It's all kind of within purpose. Um, no
That's
matter.
that pattern, like when you're going into the Six of Diamonds with the different nuances. And I think the nuances are great. And I think that they do help you get a sense of who you are so you can accept yourself. Because I think the rejection of yourself is a layer of accepting life and meeting life fully. Because if you decide, like, I cannot believe I'm not a rose bush, like, forget it, I quit, I'm not going to be anything but a rose bush. And meanwhile, you found out that you're totally not a rose bush, you're a dogwood tree, and you have a whole different path. And when you can accept being a dogwood tree, then you can start to grow the dogwood tree. But if you stay pissed that you're not a rose bush and you're a tree, you can stay there forever. You can stay there for eternity.
Oh yeah. I was just kind of sort of talking about that earlier too. Um, with someone, it was kind of more accepting of like who you are and who you've grown to be, even within
Mm-hmm.
your personality. And kind of not changing who you are, but having to also kind of change for the environment and people. Sometimes you do have to change within the environment. You don't be stagnant always.
Mm-hmm.
There's growth
Mm-hmm.
and development, especially as children. I always say like we come into this world without knowing. Honestly, like
Mm-hmm.
can't really
But we
blame.
do prefer pleasure over pain, right? So once something feels bad, we don't do it again, or we try not to do it again. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not what's supposed to happen, right? So, like, if it feels bad to be honest with your parent or your boyfriend or somebody because you see how it makes them feel bad, so you decide, oh, I could do that again. That felt really bad. They didn't really like that. I could do that again. Now what? So, who is going to be honest with your feelings if you've decided you're not going to release yours honestly because it was uncomfortable or it created pain for you to see the person hurt, or the person hit you and like beat your butt because you told them, like whatever, like real pain. So I think that pleasure, pain, motivation is a root, and it makes a lot of choices for you.
And your development of character and who you are.
And how you perceive pain, right? Like some people things can happen like, oh, I don't care, that's fine. And someone else be like, oh, I could never do
And perspective. Yeah, life is always perspective. That's why we look at the cards and everything else to try to understand these things and understand why. And yeah, you don't want to get stuck in the pain body, and share those experiences in a painful way, because that it causes stagnation is being stuck. Your six of diamonds has a nine of clubs. And I always say education or completing something is best. And without growth, development, recognizing where you are, who you are, and what you're doing, It's always going to produce stagnation. There's if you, it's like going to seventh grade and not completing a lesson, and having no type of self awareness of your purpose, spirituality, what that is. You
Well,
haven't
it's a
developed.
judgment, right? Because the church gives you judgments if you'll take them.
Right, and sevens again is judgments. Like having people projecting in front of them, they hate that. Don't judge me, but that can be sometimes the biggest judges as well. Sometimes, but yeah. So, but it's
And
always
I think that really it's the judging of yourself, because I'll say where I can still tighten up and clean up, and the move and the Venus retrograde is activating nice and loudly for me to recognize where the dirt is and how to clean it. There's a judgment of me that when it gets activated creates a judgment to the things around me, right? And it's like a strong kind of idea of what, like it's like a judgment around like this should have happened, or some like attachment judgment. And when that comes through, it seems to give license to like this like power hose. Miles called it a resentment bath. He's like, you're like bathing me in resentment. Like, stop. It's like, it's too much. But there's like this, like, it has to get out. I've got to get it out. I'm not keeping it in anymore. But then it's like, but why? Like, it's hurting people. And then I judge that, right? So there's definitely a way that it wants to be met. And that's what the whole move's about, is letting everything change. So I know it'll move away. But there's definitely ways that when I have that judgment of me, that judgment gets let loose in the people around me. And I would imagine it's a human thing and not just me.
yeah. That's what I was trying to speaking about earlier. Was the everyone wants to be have things they have to work on, insecurities or whatever it may be. So you naturally judge yourself, you naturally judge people. You have no other way to kind of identify. I'm not gonna say we've limited certain things, but
We
everyone.
definitely like assess people. I guess I feel like I want to change the judge word, because it seems to have such a like a we'll decide if you're guilty or
Right.
not kind of
The
thing. You know what I
judges
mean?
like
Like
to
judge kind
use
of
that
stuff, so like it doesn't feel like. So I don't know if I'd go with that word, but I like the idea of you
character.
make an assessment or you discern, right? Like you discern yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like you discern for yourself how you're going to respond with your energy to that energy.
Hmm.
So when that feeling of something's wrong because this didn't go the way I wanted can be met with the faith of like, well, spirit's got away. That's interesting. I thought it was going to go that way. Do you know what I mean? Like keep
That's how the
growing,
secret
take a
diamond got
breath.
to
You know what I
use.
mean? Like eat your own medicine kind of shit, and be like, okay, there we go. So it's an interesting thing that because people are close to you sometimes, like I find this is like one of the stickiest parts of my character too. Is like when they're closer to me, I go closer because I can be so close. I'm so like like that. So and it feels good to go close, but it also changes the boundaries. It changes things, right? It makes it so you be screaming and yelling and crazy, whereas with somebody else, I wouldn't do that. And that's always how they call me out. They're like, you would never do this. Like, what is this? I'm like, I guess it's just me wanting to do it sometimes. I don't know. Maybe I just want to act it out. Maybe I'm just like not able to express it. It's like my Shakespearean calling. It's like I need to act out how it feels because so often I can't, and I like really want to act out how crazy I feel. Like that movie that you're gonna see someday, that Barbie movie where the women just like lay down some tracks and some words that you're like crying and laughing because they're so fucking true. Like, God, that's so true.
Gosh, they made the Barbie movie deep. We have to study the Barbie movie.
That's the plan. When I come to
Barbie has
Utah, we're going to the
emotions and
movies.
feelings. Oh gosh, like they're trying to program like okay. It's like they're relating to real life in the Barbie movie. It
Oh,
was
it's
like,
very much like real life. The women get taken over because when the dudes become patriarchy informed, because Ken goes out there and finds out about patriarchy and brings it back to Barbie world, and it's all about horses, Rashad. Like he falls in love with horses and this idea of getting attention because he was like touched because somebody asked him what time it was. He was like, "You're asking me the time?" Like as if like he had like value for
you
a
said
second.
what about horses?
he fell in love with horses and the idea that patriarchy and horses went together, and he really just loved the whole like horses thing. So like
That is
he
crazy. So
changed
wait,
he
just
changed Mount Rushmore to 4 horses.
I was in a neighborhood delivering. I worked Amazon part time until
Uh-huh.
start work, and this late and I'm in, gosh, what part of, I'm in the hills or whatever. I stay in California, so it's like like Woodland Hills, Agora, I believe
Hmm.
but it's like really nice, fancy neighborhoods. And certain neighborhoods, they have horse trails. You have I guess you use what is it, escutarian? I don't know. I don't even know how to
Yeah.
pronounce the
Es-
word.
oh,
Escutarian.
equestrian. Equestrian or equestrian, like equine, so equestrian.
The question, yeah, I think is the
Yeah,
question.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I've heard of it. Oh, Gina joined us. I know she was in the car.
Oh,
Um,
good.
no one wants to watch us without Gina. Gosh, Gina,
Oh,
we
now the
found
people
out
will
that
come. Now we got Gina in. The people are coming.
we found out the only reason they watch us is because you here, Gina.
No, that's not true. Oh, I like realized after I sent you all the time, I was like, crap, I gotta pick up my daughter. But then
Oh yeah, no, you're
it's
fine.
school, so like I'm just but it only
Good to see
started
your
like
face.
2 days into the week, so it's just weird. I'm very confused in what day it is right now and everything else. So, how's everybody doing?
Well, it's Friday,
Yes.
so that's good. We really went into all sorts of stuff. I don't even know if I could give you a synopsis. I would just say that we played with 6 of diamonds. We talked a lot about the balance of how that works. And now we've been diving into the judgments of the self and the way they inform the narratives that you hold. So we're in that kind of deep water. And we're mostly just kind of, floating around where we do when we talk about the cards.
I love it. Yeah, the 6 of diamonds, 6 of diamonds energy has been, for me, I felt very overwhelmed at the very beginning of the week, which is usually with 6 energy is kind of more slower. But at the very beginning of the week, it was like a lot going on, and I think it was just trying to get them ready for school and stuff like that. Like I had to be at one school, I had to be at another school, I had to be here, I had to be there. I was like, oh my god, make it stop. And now as the week has, like right now, like today, it was really hard for me to be like, just go. I wanted to crawl back into bed and just not do anything, but it's like I can't do that either. I have a bunch of stuff I have to get done. So I felt that like slower, stuck motion of the 6 that just really wanted me to just chill. And so I even said, I was like, okay, you know what? I do have some stuff to do, but I'm gonna do it at my pace and not rush myself and just still take my time with it. And if it doesn't get done today, it's okay. You can get it done tomorrow. Just kind of just not trying to do too much either.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's what we kind of started out saying. And even though it's a 6, it can be a little chaotic as well. Not if you don't know where to place your energy. If you have a lot of stuff to do, you want to do. We say to do, but just emotionally, I think I said that because it has the 5 of hearts and Pluto. You know, so for me, that's a lot of energy. Ace of Hearts and Saturn. So it can kind of be everywhere and can kind of be dependent on not people, but on the emotional side, making it more.
She's getting gas. It's so
I
funny.
am.
Turn off your sound, silly.
Okay.
I don't mind you doing gas. I love you no matter what you're doing, but your sound's funny.
No, you're fine. But yeah, I don't want to say depressed, or people dependent. But I think relationships are important for everybody. And that's
You
kind of
know
what
what I
we're talking
noticed, Rashad?
about.
I notice how much it's energy.
Yeah, energy.
I feel like, because like there's something goes on. Like if you're standing next to somebody who's standing up really straight and strong, like you start to stand up straight and strong.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you're standing around a question mark, you start to feel like a question mark. Like there's some mirror neurons that go on here. Right. So like when that happens, like that's a call to everybody stand up straight so we can grow great. Like, because like that's what makes us true. But when you're wrapped inside of you, or confused or overwhelmed or not sure who you are, what you're bringing, then you're kind of like, I don't know that you're a burden. You're a choice. It's like,
Mhm.
do I want to get involved and spend time in that, more swampy things? Like, I think people have thought that about me at times, because I seem so like intermittent at best, like always myself for sure, but my ability to come in and out, it's getting better, but it is what it is, right? So people inform themselves that way. And my deep knowing of my emotions and the way I speak, it activates attention to people sometimes because I touch their emotions too. So that's like a choice. Like, do you want to deal with that? Because that's how she runs her energy. Like, she uses everything around her all day and talks about her feelings. So if you don't want to do that, you shouldn't talk to her. And that's okay. But that's like, we affect each other, is what I'm saying. Like, so when something's standing straight, it really helps. And if you need to be more open, like you need a 3 around you or a 5, because they're standing straight, but they're also got their spideys out, that's great too. But there still has to be a clarity that says, what do you feel? What do you think? What resonates? What's deep and true? Because unless you're answering that place, you're just kind of mirroring and doing what other people want you to do.
Mhm.
So it's just a thought.
No, yeah, that's the twos. Knowing how to partnership, be in relationships, not being dependent. Not being codependent. Knowing who you are. We kind of talked about that a little bit as well in the beginning, with the twos as well. Um, yeah, and that was something I was going to say in particular, um, about that. Oh yeah, it's and sometimes it's not as far as there's that side of the codependency, but then there's also the other sides. I think for some people, they just care about people or care about relationships, and it's not a dependent part of
Yeah, it's just
validation.
loving them. Yeah, I went to the movies with the 3 of diamonds 16-year-old the other day. We went to go see Barbie that second time, like I told you.
Mhm.
And she said, "Oh, well, I asked Tristan to tell me what your favorite snacks were, and I went to the store and I brought the plantain chips that you like." And I was like, "Wow, that's really sweet. Thank you." I was very touched. I was like, "That's really, well, thanks." And that was her nature. That had nothing to do with an expectation from me. That's the way she wanted to show me that she felt value for our time, right?
And that's when you give effortlessly. That's when things are
Hmm.
like, when you can get in that and stand who you are and just be who you are, and you start to appreciate people. And
Hmm.
it's not like a burden. It's not a job. It's
Mm-mm.
not a burden. You
No,
just being who you are, and
right.
but then there are other relationships, like you say, on the other side of toxic relationships and growth and development, where we and characters within ourselves are that we are dependent upon other people's perception or judgment, or that we don't want them to, you know see the darker side of ourselves, or in a lot of different situations, right, etc.
Well,
So
it's like that narcissist stuff we talked about, right? Where it's like, if
narcissism.
somebody's a vulnerable narcissist or a neurotic narcissist and they're hiding somewhere and you're trying to move the energies together and keep going, like, there is going to be a response to your energy when the things around you are in some type of a hiding position. Like when they're not active in I don't know, a full blown way, when they're like still deciding if their project's ready.
You said if they're what? Still trying to
If their
decide.
project is ready, if what they're bringing out is ready. Like we were saying, like when I worked in the systems and the bars, people be like, yeah, 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 I'm going to do this, this, and this. And when it's all ready, then I'm going to take it out. Like they're holding this like
Base in
fantasy
the
of
back
what's going to
pocket.
happen. Yeah. And then they're getting mad at themselves because it's not happening. I'm like, I don't know. I think you should take out a little bit at a time. I don't think it's going to work like that. Mm.
And it depends on who they are. But yeah, that's growth and
Yeah,
development.
that's true. Now,
That's,
who's to say? I'm not judging. I'm just saying that holding sometimes has a backlash, is what I'm saying, right? Because your other energies are also creating a stagnant space to stay connected to you, because as little as you're moving means that's as little as they move in relation to it, right?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Growth and development. it's a long journey. It doesn't happen overnight. I was telling my friend, like, everyone has issues. Like, it's do you want to take responsibility and make, like, I'm not saying Jenna has issues, but like, everyone has a job to do. Like, do you want to take responsibility, or do you just want to do whatever? That's a part of the sixes. That's when you start to realize, and take responsibility of your actions, who you are, and your goals, or whatever it may be. You can't get what you wish for without goals and action, right? Discipline in some type of way. But yeah, and I think they just love people, and it's not like it's in like the four spades, and the fours can be like kept womans and kept maids. I seen Aquarius say something about that, and they say the four dominants have to work within the marriage. Um, Even she's always working. Even if she's a housewife, she's still working. But so maybe work isn't. She doesn't see it as work. It's like taking care of my.
Yeah, she has that energy. The one I know, she's got so much energy. The more she channels it well, the stronger she gets.
It's like taking care of my responsibility. Taking care of the house. Without it, there's chaos. So yeah, so giving from a place of appreciation, like the 10 of diamonds, 10 of hearts, those are, you look at the 10 of diamonds, we look at those as like really real wealth cards. The wealth is in the people, the amount of people, the access, that you have with tens is, so you're looking at, when I see tens, I think the 10 of diamonds like has a nine in Pluto. They have to give as well as much. I think.
Makes sense. Yeah, and I'm thinking my brain went to that 4-8 like conversation I've been having with myself from when this all started, and how the six is in the middle of them. Do you know what I mean? And so it's about being able to find the balance. And what?
You said the 4-8.
Yeah, you know how I'm always talking about how to use my 4 and my 8 and my challenges with the 4s and the 8s, and that the 6 is in between the two. So I'm recognizing that that's that middle space, and I'm like, so what do I take from the learnings of my 4 experiences and my 8 experiences to like use the 6 well, to like stay standing in my own self, like speaking from myself, not speaking from any despair or old generational stuff, or not speaking from some like righteous, I know the way, get out of my way self, like kind of coming to a sweet spot of like, I'm standing knowing me and being me, and I'm bringing through my 10 to be new again.
Harmony, speaking from my higher self, being a messenger, just. Yeah, and the 6 is dead center of those numbers as well. But of course, it's 4, 6, 8, even numbers. But
And you see Monique Holland bringing in her age spread 56, 6 of diamonds, Jupiter. And I'm on the 5 of diamonds. I'm in 8 of diamonds. I'm in Mercury period, which is the 2 of diamonds. I don't know if you can put it up or.
yes. Yeah, we can take a look. And hello, Artemis. She comes in frequently. And I don't know if this is the same one.
Hello, Artemis. I am Artemis the astrologer. I love that.
And gotta rewind. I know 6 of diamonds. Talking about rewinding, right? 6 of diamonds. Get my butt. As I got older, I realized it is always energy forcing me to choose myself, because that is where I am. Where I win, I am in 4 clubs. We were talking about those sixes, right? You talking about is that where you got that from, or?
No. Maybe I did. I mean, I didn't know that's where I got it from. I read that and I did say it, but it was something I was thinking about when you were talking about the other stuff. But who knows? It's all shared genius.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is alignment.
And Gina Monique says hi to you. Do you
Hi.
see those two?
I'm home now. Hi, Monique. How's it going? Yeah, that's a lot of the two of diamonds and Mercury, you should be doing all kinds of different deals and negotiations and convincing and contracts, and just focus on, you could actually have a lot of quick and unexpected partnerships with that energy. Fleeting partnerships too. Venus is retrograde. And so with that, you might have it to where partnerships are coming and going, or coming back to be reevaluated as well. Do they bring value? You know.
Mhm.
What spread is it? I
She
know
said
I can.
like 56, so she's the eight of diamonds. She's sitting in the house of the. It's interesting. She's also sitting in the house of the two of spades.
Hey guys, I'm gonna pass it to you because I have guests coming in. Miles has been packing without me because we switched the day, so I have to kind of let myself get back in. Now that Gina's here, I'll listen later. This was a great combo. No offense, Gina. Really love to, but I definitely know if I don't jump in soon, I'm gonna have a not fun night.
Yeah, no, I actually
No,
have to finish orders, so I only have a few more minutes myself. I forgot in the midst of the schools and timing. I'll have my shit together next week.
Your shit's
we were
great.
we
We
was all
love.
over the place. Like we was supposed to do this yesterday. I overslept, so
Yeah,
it's really
yeah.
my
It's
fault.
all
It's the
good.
60 time it's all delayed.
We're learning. We're learning out loud. All right. Well, thank you, Rashad. It was a great conversation. Peace,
All right,
everyone.
enjoy.
Bye.
Bye. Mm.
But Monique, did you get that? Was there anything? And were you finished, Gina? Was there anything
Good.
else?
Yeah, go ahead. Because if she's sitting the two of spades, it means the king of the king of spades will be your Neptune. Um, Queen of hearts is your Pluto, right? So your reward is the ace of clubs. Um,
And what was you saying about the Venus retrograde with the 10 clubs?
with that two of diamonds, if she's in her Mercury period with the two of diamonds and Venus is retrograde, it is reviewing partnerships of all kinds, or just even having, and because Venus is second house and resources too, so it's not just always about the relationships. It's the value of them, and the the effort, and just, I guess, if they, if they're not, like, I think this is when we have to decide if this relationship is worth continuing, and things may be coming back to show you, and then that's when you have a better view and a better understanding if this is something you want to continue and work with.
And it may take compromise as well, possibly, and focus on yourself and maybe not over giving. It has the six of spades on top of it with the nine of diamonds supporting the six of spades as well within the Mercury. So you have the six of spades and the two of diamonds together, So it's usually, and actually the two of diamonds is on top of the six of clubs on top of the two of diamonds. So yeah, that's interesting, right? So compromise and negotiation and all those things.
Taking your time too.
Mm-hmm.
Sixes are patient, where they need to have patience, and I think too, sixes are timing, and that's something with this week in itself with the six of diamonds is you got to have the patience with this energy, because it can be a lot of delays, things. I think what did I do the other day? Oh, my daughter, my younger one, was getting her hair done, and I should have known, but I thought, she's messaging me with tears in her eyes, like, come get me. And I'm like, you're not even done yet. Like, no. And so then, I went out there to go get her, and she hadn't even started the main part. I was like, oh, this is going to be so much longer. So the delays, things taking longer, kind of, being slowed down, which made me just kind of sit there and wait for her, and I'm in my mind, I'm thinking of all the other things I could be doing right now than sitting here. But at the same time, I wasn't going to go back home to come back. You know what I mean? So I just had to sit my ass down and wait. And that's, sorry, sitting your ass down and wait.
Yeah, that's the six. Yeah, and we're talking about patience. Yeah, you definitely want to have a lot of patience with those sixes.
Yes.
I'm glad they have patience for me. Gina talking about her. No, Gina, you see that the post about P Diddy and responsibility. I was like, that was totally not me. I was not responsible. I did not feel responsible. But it was all. It was. I went to sleep very late the night before. I was up arguing about a debt. It was not even that much money. It was not, but it was the principle. I'm like, if sometimes if a person continue, it's like a six. Like if you let something continue, it's not going to turn out good. Like why would you expect anything or someone to react any differently? So let me make sure you know and you learn now what's taking place and my expectations going forward. So six is always about taking responsibility as well. So it was over money and a debt. Something I felt like what they felt like I owed them, or how you exchange money and you take off some money and you like, oh, we even, but it's like, no, I don't. That's not that doesn't um, so yeah, and also with the two of diamonds and Mercury, to talk about those sixes, and you also want to watch out for negotiation, partnerships, and debts, and those things, and money talk, and all of those things. Where's the two of diamonds has the six of diamonds and we're in
Yeah.
Mercury, Venus. No, I was saying the two of diamonds talking about money and debt and owing things. I was saying that two of diamonds, she has the two of diamonds in America, in which two of diamonds can be fleeting, but watching like contracts and all those things and money talk. But the two of diamonds has the six of diamonds and I was saying not Venus but Mars.
Mm-hmm.
So
Have to
so
be. That's a big, strong mirror. And it's funny. Today's a two of diamonds day.
I was really looking at the
And so there is that element of being responsible and getting, paying debts. The two of diamonds I've found, it's interesting how finances come to them, and when they are on the up and up, I think they can be extremely, prosperous. But it's when they're being shisty or not being responsible, ooh, they can go through it. You can't avoid the six. It'll come back. It might not be right away, but it'll come back. And I've dealt with the two of diamonds. I've watched I've watched how in an instant, something can be going really well, and then bam, it can change its course, um, financially for them. And I think that's a big part of that six of diamonds being in March.
the repercussions.
Yeah.
Uh, no, it's crazy. So earlier this week, right? So I lost my iPhone, my old iPhone. I'm like, why and how did I lose my phone? And I'm like, all right, God, I'm a like, if I owe anything, if I owe anybody, like, I'm so sorry. Let me just make sure I get everything I need to do, like, completed and done. So I did do people's readings, but I am getting another phone though. Is going to get replaced because I'm getting a shared plan with someone, and so they're sending me a phone. It won't be here until Monday. That's like a delay, right? But I'm
Yeah.
like, why did I lose my phone? Like, what did I do? Like, who do I owe? Like, why did I lose my phone? So yeah, you're right. When that was my thought process this week was like my debts. Like, who do I owe? Why did I lose? That's like the two of diamonds, six of diamonds, as far as what saying, like possessions, objects, yeah. But
And
maybe even getting into arguments over money or debt. Mm-hmm.
no, and they will though. And I'm just speaking from just someone that I've known. Um, this person was so gun ho about money, like it became. She used her children as a tool, as a pawn for it even. And so, and that kind of came back to bite her in the butt too. So, like I said, they can't, that 6 of diamonds in Mars, you know, being on the up and up will they'll be, you know, like that's the thing, like when they're on the up and up and they're not being shysty about stuff, then they easily are blessed when they're giving more. You know, that comes back. You know, that's the same thing too with it being a 6 of diamonds week too. This is when, you know, you want to settle those debts and settle them by even like giving a little bit extra or going a little bit more, you know, above and beyond, because all of that will just return back to you in some way, shape, or form. You know, so helping someone out, even opening up the door, or like, you know, the other day there was a lady pushing another person in a wheelchair. I ran up behind them to open the door for them. It's just doing those, you know, being that extra generous energy, because, you know, it sets the, it's like it opens you up to be, you know, keeping that flow. You know, you don't do it with expectations of it coming back, but you do it, it's because it's a constant flow. Funny, you know, like the tides flowing to you, flowing away from you. And that's the big thing with those energies is, you know, the more that it is just a reflection, and they really do have to, and I will say that too, though, those 6s, it's not going to come when you want it. It's going to come at the right, like when it's exactly for you. Like that's another thing too. I think, you know, you know, that having that patience, you know, I think that's one of the big hardest things with this energy is like, no, I want it now, but
Yeah.
it all comes in its perfect timing, you know, because it's what 6s are, that alignment.
Yeah, I would say that I have perfect timing. I'm like, where do I get that from? But then you look at the vertical, I have the 6 of spades and Mercury vertical. So it's like everything is kind of like perfect timing, and that's how I feel like life is sometimes. So even though saying like the 6 of diamonds, I'm like who do I owe? So I feel like I owe somebody. But on the flip side, in one of the readings, I was talking about the 9 of clubs a lot, and then also just that I didn't mention the perfect timing, but there's a good point, because I didn't catch into the second reading. I was saying that things happen on time, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like patience and being like, I looked at that reading or that situation, right? But if I looked at the weekly, I was in that freaking spread, you know? So it was like, how could I plan that, you know? Is that perfect timing? And that's usually sometimes how I excuse me, in my link tree or in my reading site, I would bet anybody that if I wasn't in your spread, which is kind of cocky, I felt like that was kind of bold. Like if I'm
We
not in your
remember we were
spread, you
taught
can
that
pay
we will show, you know, probably show up in the spreads a lot of times.
me. Yeah, I was like, I'm getting too cocky. That's kind of bold.
Happens all the time to me. It does. Just did a reading the other day, and I was in, not just in the yearly, but in, I mean, that, and that's how I know, for me personally, like that the, it's meant to be when it's meant to be. You know what I mean? Like I don't push. Like I've had people, you know, reschedule. I'm like, okay, no, I'm real flexible, because I know, and a lot of times I remember even I had a reading. Someone came like last month, and they ended up becoming like a monthly client with the weekly readings that I do, and it was right on time. And I believe in that. Like I absolutely believe in that. Like, you know, and like even just people we used to talk about in the clubhouse rooms, you know, you were drawn to this room at this right moment for this you know, for a purpose, you know, and a lot of times what becomes talked about, you know, will be exactly what you needed to hear that day, you know. So that's when you really see that the universe is working for you, not against you. It's just, are you listening, are you paying attention? And then what do you do with it when you like when you start to see how things start to line up in alignment? That's when you really can start to dispel any of the fears that you may have, because you really do see like, I'm tripping, like this shit is actually really, you know, in my favor. It's me and my fears and my thoughts and how I trick myself into the blessing, or, you know, out of the blessings, because I gotta even today, you know, my whole thing now with them sevens is like, you got to find the bright side. What's the silver lining? Even when shit's changing and switching up on you, there's a bright side, and it probably is going to lead you to something even more, but you'll convince yourself of not, or you'll get caught in like the quicksand of the mind, of the negative thoughts. And you think the six of diamonds transform into the seven of clubs, right?
Yeah, they can suffer from depression like crazy.
Absolutely.
So,
I find that they can either be like, you know, they have that swing energy, like they love attention, they're very competitive, but at the same time they can also then recluse too, you know, they can get into that lower frequency of the mind, and then it becomes like a reoccurring, you know, like you have to dig yourself out of that quicksand of the mind that can happen. So again, the sixes will show you everything is actually working in your favor, but you got to have patience, trust the timing, have a lot of faith. And the more that you're aware, you'll start to see, you know, everything is in the exact time that even if like your plans changed, you were supposed to do something one day, but it ended up being the other day or whatever. That day was probably the best day for you. Maybe the other day could have been where it could have put you into some kind of trouble or danger or opposition or something, you know, that wasn't going to align for you. So I think the universe is always showing us that it's working in our favor. It's just that we don't see that and will, you know, resist it sometimes. And when really, if you just lean into the energy and go with it, it'll bring you exactly where you need to be.
And sixes is excuse me, it's like that Virgo energy as well. You don't want to be. We were talking about perfectionism earlier with Madeline, and a couple of those points that you just made as well. We was kind of speaking about, but yeah, you don't want to be overly critical. You know, stuck into perfectionism, overanalyzing things as well.
Yep. And then next week we go into the seven of diamonds week, which kind of even makes more sense with all the, you know, Venus retrograde and finances. It seems to be a lot of focus on money and just resources with this, not just relationships either, you know. So definitely interesting energy.
Let me see the someone money. In the weekly age 45, the Jack of Hearts is in my transformation card. Yeah, the transformation it can lead to, especially with the six of diamonds and the seven of clubs, can lead to like you are what you think. I get that. You know, it's like what you put into something is what you're going to get out of it. You know, type of energy. Like if you lead with negativity, you're just going to attract negativity. Kind of like Gina said, like you have to understand like things aren't working against you. You know, you have to kind of go with the flow with that seven of clubs. In the transformation. So the transformation is very kind of important. It gives you like a kind of like something, a blueprint, you know, kind of like a main objective. You know, it plays can be a huge lesson. You know, so the transformation is kind of like that thing that grounds you out. You know, that lesson. You know, something that you should look to kind of help your life path and understand what can make you stronger. You know, down the line.
It's a big part of your healing. That transformation card. And Monique just said in the comments that she's on plate 45 for the week, so her transformation card is the Jack of Hearts. She said she's cried a lot. Yep, I get that.
I have cried so much this week.
You know, it's funny. I was talking to my daughter the other day. We were talking about you know, dealing with like medical emergencies, or she's talked about being like a firefighter, and you know how she did athletic training the first 2 years of high school, and how the boy had like broke his femur or something, and she thought it was cool. I said I could never do anything that would have to deal with working with children or seeing children hurt. I'd be a mess. I would kidnap them all. Like that's what she's like. You are. She's like, Mom, you're too emotionally. She said, you and your emotions. She's like, you feel so much. I said, I know. And she said, I can separate it. I said, I know you can. She's like, but what broke her that night when the boy is a football game and the guy, I guess,
Femur?
like his femur literally popped out or broke.
Yeah.
She dealing with him, she was fine until she heard the mom screaming. She said when the mom started screaming for her son, she couldn't. It was hard for her to keep it together. I said, "Oh, I told her. I said, baby, when other kids have gotten hurt in a basketball game, I'm on the sidelines in tears, crying. But they're not even my kids, and I feel so much for them. And I'm over here like, she's like, what is wrong with you? I don't know. So when she said how that Jack of Hearts and any of those hearts, because when a lot of my clients have heavy hearts in their spreads, I hear from them, what is this energy? Why am I crying so much? Why do I feel so much? I'm like, oh, welcome to my life. Like, just every, it can be overwhelming. And yes, crying is a great way to release it. I used to think it was like a weak link of mine because I cried a lot, but now I actually don't cry as much as I used to, but I can see it as a benefit, as a purge, as a release, as a way to kind of unstick some stuck energy or emotions. And it really actually, then I usually like go in the shower and like wash it away. I'm big about the water. So doing things to kind of help cleanse all that energy. But yeah, that's a good release to be able to kind of, because you don't want to hold it in, then it just becomes stuck emotions and that can get even worse. Right. So releasing it is a beautiful thing.
What do you have? But you have nines there, all right? You have nine of clubs, then the nine of spades. So any type of form of release, expression.
So good for me. If I hold it in, I'm on a rampage. You don't want that. That's when I become dangerous. So it's actually good for me to get it out. And you don't want me dangerous. And that's when those hearts become savage. So we don't need that. But yeah.
We were talking about going. What was that? What did I forgot? I forgot what part I was. Something I had quoted earlier. It'll come to me here in a second. But yeah, not using your emotions to make decisions, basically. You know. What was the quote? Let me find it. But yeah, you can't help it with hearts, though. I don't like to make excuses for people, but that's why we're here. Madeline was talking about the archetypes, and we're just living, certain archetypes. But then, some people don't want to admit to who they are, and that stops growth as well. If you don't have a form of release, if you don't admit that you're emotional, you're just gonna be stuck in denial.
Yo, I don't cry at a commercial song. A kid at a basketball game who's not even mine falling and getting hurt. I get very emotional. I have realized like it's a very strong part of me, and but because the cards and understanding my energy, I don't look at it as a detriment anymore. Because before I was like, there's something wrong with you. Because I could get too emotional, but I've learned to be able to really tap into them and feel it and embrace it and move through it, not allowing it to kind of just linger and take over. I think that's the key too.
Yeah, I was saying falling in love with the some people fall in love with the emotion and the adrenaline of success and not the discipline. That's what it was. So not being like overly emotional and falling in love with the discipline. So it had to be a separation at some point. But yeah, you can't really help it. Sorry.
Yeah.
But you are the jack of hearts, but it's saving children, we always joke about
Children and animals. I'm such a big advocate and sucker, and like I remember my kids have gotten they take like we want to rescue any stray animals we've done it many times. So now when we're out, if we see an animal, like it becomes a thing. But yeah, they they've seen it, you know, and she thinks it's funny because again, you know, she's that spade energy, so it's definitely a different beast with that. She can handle the pressure. She can handle, because our neighbor had gone through an experience the other evening, and that's what we were discussing. And my neighbor, who is also a heart, she was saying how, because she was going to go into like nursing school, she's like, that was a lot, you know. I was like, yeah, you know, your energy, you know, it may be a little bit harder for you because you know, you feel too much. Like her sister had to get a stitch here, and she said it was really hard to have to kind of pin her down, and because she's a kid, you know, and the kids are going to fight. They don't want that, you know? So she said that was really hard for her, to witness. And I said, yeah, you know, I couldn't, I couldn't, I would have, I would have like checked out. Like I can't deal with that stuff. When it comes to children, like if I'm on like social media and there's any kind of video that deals with a kid like crying or being in any shape or way form that there's something like being done to them, I can't watch it. I
You can't be on
cannot.
social media,
Huh?
You can't be on social media much. Well, I mean, you can. You just have to filter
I
what's
do.
on.
Because I feel it so deeply. I'll take it on, and it's like, and I have to like decipher that's not my energy, it's somebody else's, because it'll affect me deeply. So I can't watch anything that has to deal with a child being even like yelled at, or just, I don't know what it is with me. And obviously Jack of Hearts can represent the children, a childlike energy. So it's definitely that. But I remember growing up, my friend wanted to, you know, she was going to go through EMT, and she started doing some of the like rounds where she went and got to ride with the ambulance. And she said one of the first calls was something to do with a child. And she actually ended up not doing it because she said it was too hard. Like I was like, oh, I would have been in jail. I would have taken the kid from the parent. Like I would have been out there, Captain Save a Kid from everybody, and had all these damn kids in hiding. I have to rescue them.
Trying to save kids. Like, oh, I'm a superhero. I'm saving the day.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's my mind. Like I know you can't. Like this is not a good place for you to be. I have to save you. Oh yeah, not worked out.
We need more hearts in the world. I was gonna say that's why there's no hearts, because I don't know how much will get done. But y'all, we definitely need more of y'all though, because right now the world needs a lot of y'all.
I know, and that's the thing. Like I have to be like the stuff that you see on social media. Some of this stuff, like I can't watch. I will not watch a lot of this stuff because I can't. It's not like entertaining for me. I start to feel bad for the people. Like all the emotions that come up around some of that stuff. Like I can't take it.
More hearts in the government and politics. We need y'all in government offices. I don't know if y'all would last there, but which hearts could be? And of course, we would say the Ten of Hearts is like the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And they can work in government offices as well. You know, they can be very helpful to people working around like housing authorities. You know, some type of social group or public social um, career, I guess you can say, or healthcare. You know, so as far as the what's some other professions for hearts?
Huh?
Some other professions for hearts. What would you see? Like what certain cards you see in certain professions as far as hearts?
And dealing with people,
Just
for sure. Anybody, you know, I've noticed, maybe any kind of like hospitality, working with others. You may find them like doing Ten of Hearts, maybe like a wedding coordinator or someone who runs like big events. Um, Anything where that puts them at the center of attention. You know, where they're like maybe sometimes dictating things. I think the Ten of Hearts or any of the hearts, you know, when they're doing something that is like working with others, helping others, counselors, therapists. I could see that.
Yeah, they have the Jack of Clubs challenging them as well. So they're sitting in a club space. So out of everyone, like therapists, counselors, being that person people may just want to talk to. You may not know it, you know. So really staying on that Jack of Clubs and not being letting it be a disadvantage and really grooming Jack of Clubs, being comfortable with people and talking and speaking, you know.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're not lying to yourself either. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they have big personalities too. I know one who does. She's home with her children, but they're always out. She homeschools them, but they're involved in so many activities. She's big about her kids. She's big about her family. I know another 10 of Hearts. She works in like a vet, like with animals, vet tech. Like, so it's some kind of like place of healing, or helping others in some way, shape, or form. Even look at, use Michael Jackson as an example. Yeah, his music, his art, his voice, his presence was, very, you go back to the 80s and 90s when people would fall out, at his concerts, because he could emotionally, and they were emotionally drawn to him and his music. And so they definitely can draw an audience, whether they even realize it or not. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, I think that, like I said, they have to tap into it, like you said, whether they know it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You're here to um, be in the public eye sometimes, be in front of people, be a leader of some sorts, even if they don't like people, like
Right.
Michael Jackson doesn't, I don't think he's like unless a person that loves to be in the
Yeah, he was
crowd.
antisocial.
Yeah. So, but you put you in front of us on the stage, Jack's transform. They can turn into characters. They can, they're
Mm-hmm.
able to use their personality or whatever they may have or learn, over the time period, to the, to for a sense of charm. So yeah.
Yeah, they know how to. I think they know how to emotionally connect. And I was, having a conversation with the Jack the other day about the being able. We're able to. Someone in front of us could have gone through a shit show of situations, and even though we may not have actually gone through it, we feel that for them. Like we can put ourselves in their shoes. I think that's one thing about the Jacks is they know how to kind of like that, being able to kind of relate, connect. And that's why like the Jacks are like the friend. I feel like they're like your friend, because it's like you understand, even though I may not have gone through that, but for whatever reason I can understand you. I can put myself in that place. And and that might be my Libra moon too, but just being able to kind of be like empathetic towards another person's situation. Like I said, it's always said, putting myself in someone else's shoes.
Hmm. And making sure they're not also being manipulative with those, with that
Yeah.
ability as well,
Yeah.
on the other side, because you once you understand someone or you think you have someone figured out, you know.
Switch it up on you. And that's the thing too. Like, I realized in my career prior to my having my business, being in the restaurant environment, the hospitality. I mean, I've worked from fine dining to the most ghetto ass nightclubs you can think of. And I used to bartend in Ybor City. So I don't know if you've ever been to Ybor City. And I mean, it was
Uh,
it's
I,
a place for sure.
what is it called?
It's a strip of clubs, and they shut down the street. You can walk. I mean, the club I worked at got shot up at. They used to have
You said
fight clubs.
Ebor?
Huh?
You used to call it Ebor?
It's Ybor City, Ybor. It's right in Tampa. I used to live so before I had kids, before I was a mom. I I worked at this club, and I mean, so I've worked from fine dining, hotels, 4 or 5 star hotels, pool halls. I mean, you name it. And I've worked every aspect of those buildings. I can run a kitchen. I can run the front of the house. So that's that, you know, jack of all trades, and being able to go from the kitchen where, you know, there's flinging knives and cussing like sailors, to walk right out that door and be the most respectful and proper, you know. It's like whoop, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, yo. I can switch that up so quick that it blows people away sometimes, because I mean, I was just out there kind of cussing like a sailor with the chef, and now I'm dealing with, you know, a front of the house situation where I have to put on this completely different face, this completely different mask, and a completely different tone, voice, everything, you know. And I can just turn back around and like swing it right out, like it's like nothing.
Yeah, that's why I said like the Jacks and the Jokers, like that's almost the same thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Might as well be the same thing, right? Oh, her phone must have died. So we'll wait on her, maybe to come back. She may have went out. But yeah, it's the Jacks, you know, using your personality, uh, being able to shift and change at a dime, you know, using your this quick wit, right? So being really witty, quick on your feet, as far as being a Jack. So, I mean, like I said, you can use that as your advantage to manipulate, get what you want, you know. As I always say, the Jacks have free will, right? I think that's a part of that 11, and that free will, they feel that they can choose, you know, it's your path that you want to go down.
Yeah, a lot of independence, a lot of freedom. Don't box me in. Don't tell me I can't do something, because then I'm going to do it 100 times more. That's the thing. Um, I definitely, and I love, you know, I loved what I did. I really did enjoy it. I was very social, I like people. I studied psychology. Shit, I wanted to study, you know, serial killers. So I had a thing with the mental and the mind, and how do you work, and what makes you tick, and you're dealing with, you know, a bar situation, or, you know, dealing with people and drinking, you're dealing with people, and I've dealt with the rich of rich to the, you know, pool hall, and, you know, just the different dynamics. And that's why I've always felt like I can fit into all different types of spaces, because I can empathize with so many different people. I can relate for whatever reason, and I've just been able to, you know, I loved it though. I've always said I got paid to basically go to a bar, or go to a party, or go to a social gathering. So but there's certain people.
We get paid to go to a party. Huh?
It did. I mean, I used to execute parties. I used to work at a very high-end hotel in Buckhead. So I've worked for some pretty, you know, high names of people. And so, like you said, you know, keeping things confidential. I've dealt with celebrities. I've dealt, you know, with some, I mean, very interesting people. And
they made you sign the NDAs. Okay, you know,
I've seen so
like,
much.
you got me so
Yeah.
interested. Like, what Gina could have seen? Like,
I've seen so much. I mean, we've had to sign
yeah.
confidential, you know, confidentiality papers, like, because certain celebrities would come and stay at the hotel I worked at. And we've had situations, and, you know, usually they're checked in under different names. So, but when you work for the hotel, you know who's staying there. So, you know, we've dealt with some different scenarios with people. But then you realize they're just people. That they're
Yeah,
just
they are.
they're
Yeah.
just
Especially when you
people.
know the cards. Oh my gosh! Like you
Yeah.
just like the cards just open up everything. And so like it's just, man, it's so interesting. Like I try not to judge people,
Yeah.
but or not to like just throw the cards on everyone. But it's like just like you say, to be in a bar and to be like interested into like people and knowing why, who they are, and then if you have the cards, oh my
God. Well, and it's, you know, I got into the cards when I was when doing my part-time thing, and that was fascinating. And there was actually a lot of jacks that were working in the restaurant. So, you know, and because there are a lot of jack of clubs, quick talkers. There was actually 2 jack of hearts, a jack of spades, 2 jack of clubs. All I swear, that's crazy.
Oh
But
man,
you could see it, like, and we were the type of people, we, you know, go
that was
out there
pretty
and
good too.
we probably did the best.
You know, they say the Ace of Spades shouldn't look too metaphysics to employ people, but sometimes I feel like these books, I wouldn't say outdated, but it's like, why would they say that? Some things are, I can be like, okay, I see why. It depends on the person. If they could be, they can get lost in the spell of trying to figure out why not letting go and let God, and those things. So so you kind of see maybe why, but it's like I can see the Ace of Spades trying to use like metaphysics and like those things to employ people, and because it works, it's not even using it; it's like seeing it more 9 times out of 10. It's like that's definitely how I've been using it. Dang, yeah, that's interesting. Because I like the personality, but a lot of times the other things get me going. Like, why do a person do this job? Like, why are they interacting in that type of way? So I love people with different niches. The way they use the cards, it's an umbrella. It has a lot of different it hits a lot of different points. 360 umbrella, right? It hits a lot of different points of a person and the way why a person do certain things. Like I was at a bar and a guy um, had a spade on his neck. I was like, what is he? He must be like ace of spades, two of diamonds. Like, why does he have a spade on his neck? So it ended up being he was a ten of clubs. He had it was the ace of spades or a jack of spades tattoo. But yeah, he ended up being the ten of clubs, June the 20th.
That card's connected. Both those cards are connected to that energy, anyways.
Yeah, right. So it's like that's why I say I can't remember which one because it was either or but he was definitely June the 20th. And I don't even remember birthdays. My memory is not the best. Like it took me a while to remember something I just said 30 minutes ago. So, but but the cars just make those correlations easier, and you're able to learn people and things and habits. So it's like you don't want to throw it all in the cars, but it's like, am I crazy? Like, do the government I know this shit? Like, my bad, cuz we can't be cussing on YouTube, by the way. Like,
Whoops.
Once hopefully we can grow an audience and things. But yeah, it's like I think you can use this in like investigations and like you said, watching what you watch. Eugenia, they say people that watch the people that kill people, you might have to watch those people.
I could definitely get away with it.
How do you get away with murder?
I'm just kidding. I would never hurt anybody. Unless you come at my kids, then that's a whole different story. But no, but I, for whatever reason, have always been fascinated with psychology. I've been always fascinated with the mind and why people do the things that they do. I don't know what prompted me to get into them, but I remember being in like middle school, high school, and I think Charles Manson, and I talked about him a lot. He's an 8 of clubs. That he was like the first person that I studied, and that was it. I was obsessed, and I needed to know everything about them, and I would study their cases. I would study their victims. I would study, as much as I could, because I just and truthfully, they weren't stupid people, very intelligent people. But then I got out of the studying the adults, and that's when I turned it to child psychology. I started, studying child behavioral science, because I believe it stems from within the environment. And because what I found the correlation between all of the ones that I were studying, they were, their childhood had a lot of similarities of abuse and neglect. And not to say that gives a reason that everybody who was abused or neglected is going to go out and murder a bunch of people, but you couldn't ignore that they all had very extreme upbringings of typical abuse. And they had the 3, fire starting, wetting the bed, and cruelty to animals as children. And those are, when you start to really break that down, a lot of them, did all 3 of those things and, ended up hurting people as they got older. So it's a very fascinating thing to study the criminal mind and why people do what they do.
Yeah.
So
People would think, not say people would think me crazy, but when you match the astrology and you actually see what's going on, you can't deny it.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's what I think. He's a jack of clubs. Jeffrey is
Jeffrey Dahmer, yep.
he's a jack of clubs. Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
And you see that's, I mean, he's an example you can use, very like how he was able to just like change his switch it up.
yeah, on the dime, right?
Hmm.
I think it was in class, but they have the king of clubs where the and Mercury,
Jupiter.
Jupiter.
Hmm.
Yeah. The king of clubs is a powerful person, I think, especially to have a king of clubs in Jupiter.
Hmm.
The key to detail, I think, would be the Jack of Diamonds has a key for detail. I've seen that they are outstanding. So between the Jack of Diamonds and the Jack of Clubs, I can see soaking in information and having a key to detail, studying people. I think Um, but yeah, going into the child psychology and the upbringing, the Jack of um, Clubs has the nine of diamonds and Mercury, right? Yeah. The nine of diamonds isn't like an easy card, that can be a pretty wealth versus poverty, right? So you can have someone that can be in a very chaotic environment or home, it can be impoverished, lacking attention or needing his having someone that around that could be possibly abusive, maybe verbally, so they the childhood environment is kind of like almost really important that they be in a stable environment. But how can you be stable with a nine, right? So that can be someone worrisome, a lot of time as well. So of course, nines is about losses, right? So like I said, you can be in a poverty situation. You can be up one minute, down the next. Think about how that can affect the child mentality, I guess you can say, especially if the parents are creating their environment and it's not the best environment, so they can attach or pass those emotions on to the child.
Yep, as someone with a 9 there. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep. But Rashad, I have to jump off because I got to get going to pick up the other child. So
No
glad we
problem.
were able to at least get this on for this week.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you all later. I may stay on to talk about Karen Bass right quick since I did
Okay.
post the cover just to end it out. She's the mayor of Los Angeles and she's a six of diamonds.
Oh,
So,
perfect. Okay, cool. Well, I will see you next week.
all right, see you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. I guess I should put the six of diamonds birthdays up because someone thought this was cardiology. That's, so it's cardology, like the playing cards. We did kind of explain the uses of it. It's like a astrology, a form of a divination astrology, and it's been used in a lot of different ways. Like I said, just like divination, personality, helping with looking at your childhood or the environment that you grew up in. How it could affect your psychology, and there's extremes in certain cases as well. So everyone isn't exactly the same, but there can be similar cases. Like the six, nine of diamonds can be wealth or poverty for some people. So depending on the environment that the parent create, and the importance of that is values, which one may create for themselves as well. Because ultimately the child is going to grow up either replicating those things. The home environment is very important for the jack of clubs, the elders that's around them, being around very spiritual people as well. Um, just a second, I'm trying to put up the birthdays for the six of diamonds, so this, so you can identify who these people is in your life. What the world? All right, I have a back screen, so hopefully y'all. I know y'all didn't see all that, but it's like that. So the last one is going to be November the 1st. So the card of financial responsibilities. So I'm going to go into Karen Bass' birthday. Man, I was looking up hacking yesterday. Yo, you right, J Lo. You are so right. My bad. I did. That's what I was thinking about last night. I was like, she is right. You gotta protect your information. Sharing your browser, sharing your like public information. Your stuff is public. It is just a click, abbreviated search, and whatever is public. Web cameras. Man, now I see why cybersecurity is one of the number one growing industries in America. Because yeah, so Karen Betts, I'm gonna look at her cards. So the reason I'm looking at her cards because it is Six of Diamonds week. So we are talking about the Six of Diamonds. If you know about the Six of Diamonds and as far as like technically, as far as reading, the conversation is a Six of Diamonds conversation. So these are characteristics, the life path, the flow, the delays for even coming in today, is a Six of Diamonds, right? Um, so that's the energy of her. So I'm gonna share my screen so I'm not just talking crazy. So first, I'm going to just look at her age and go from there, because I'm the type of person I like to test myself. I will show you the software as well. I'm going to use Robert Kemp software. So looking at her life path, the age, and seeing what's going on in California is also, and seeing what the software says, because we talked a lot. So let's just kind of end it there, and show that I'm just not talking out of my back of my head. So she's born October the 3rd. So you can see the birthday there, October the 3rd. She would be a Scorpio, ruled by Mars. So the Six of Diamonds, Mercury, Venus, Mars, the Ten of Diamonds. So the Ten of Diamonds, we talked about it a little, the Ten of Hearts. The Ten of Hearts has the Ten of Diamonds. We were talking about that earlier, but about success, wealth, that the Ten of Diamonds has. It's all about values as well. It can be a very socially oriented card. So you're talking about not just a little bit of people, a lot of people, right? So a lot of tens get the public attention or they in public offices, right? Ten of Diamonds can also be in healthcare, home care, and those particular industries, real estate, but if they're in the medical business or industry, they would rather own probably the hospital, rather than just being a worker, and someone can go into the military as well, so Ten of Diamonds can be artists also. They can, like, that can be everything, but just listen, just like I can tell you particular people's birthdays, like Prince. He's a Ten of Diamonds as well, so he can be the artist. Like I said, that can be social. So, what does the health and the healthcare come for that Ten of Diamonds? Well, you can see Prince. I don't believe he may be vegan. Let's see if Prince's diet. Prince generally ate healthy, according to Ray and Jewel Roberts. See, that's another thing. And we're talking about Nardwar, right? Yo, everything is searchable. You can search people log in like it's crazy. He wasn't vegan. He eventually did became a vegan. Yeah. So health. The reason health is involved because for the Ten of Diamonds, for the Ten of Diamonds, the Queen of Spades and the Queen of Clubs is attached. So definitely around like health, herbals, and natural products is the space, is the health in the body. And we was talking about the Six of Spades earlier, so make sure you watch your health. Make sure you pay attention to your health and go get checked out as well, possibly with the Six of Spades. So yeah, that is the her cards. So let me show you the 10 of diamonds spread, which I don't think I've done all day, so it can just make more sense for you. So you can see where the 10 of diamonds is. I can pull up in the software. Let's go to the software. October the 3rd. Honorary 10 and 6 of diamonds for today. Okay, yeah, it doesn't show it right up top, so I can do it from here. So she has the 5 of spades. This is her yearly. So this is what a yearly spread looks like in the software. What I like to do my readings from mostly, almost 90% of the time, is actually from the solar spreads itself. There's a huge difference. Is what I usually show on here. I don't show the software too much, unless I'm, confirming. Make sure it's the same. So she is a 6 of diamonds, which I can pull up on there. But okay, so this is what I use usually. So it's a printed workbook of the PDF that I usually show on here. The printed workbook, I guess, is. I was talking to an author, and he was just saying how visually you lose depth a lot of times. So the physical form of books is there's something that takes place cognitively. There's a connection that takes place. So yeah, let me see if anything is interesting, because it was called the personality identification playing cards. Now I'm really wondering if there is a correlation. It could be totally unrelated. I do not know very much about this. I just think it's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. More you learn, the more it's about to get. I'll show how interesting it is. View tab on stream beyond. I don't know why it says that. So yeah, that's what I use for a lot of my readings. Is just that particular. It's the book itself. So looking at the 5 of spades, this is her year, right? So you can see that she's having. We're talking about tens being social, right? Public. Spades can be part of the government as well. 10 of spades, jack of spades, queen of spades, king of spades. I identify those as responsibility, social responsibility. So who has the most social responsibility out of everyone, right? Would be the king of spades. They are who plays God in all of our lives almost. Not to say the government is God, but they even say the government is the black woman's man. I'm sorry, I just have to be real blunt. But they tried to take over their home, right? Coming in and being the provider, So that's what kings are, the protectors and providers. That's what your government is. That's what their responsibility is, to protect, serve, and provide. That is the king of spades, When you sing a king of spades, there's a lot of responsibility here, right? For other people, and there's a lot of judgment that comes through as well. A lot of outside pressure that takes place with the king of spades, right? So when you're looking at that, you're looking at your public. You're in the public eye, your social responsibility and your honest, right? It can be your coworkers or people that you work with, that comes with that particular card. Okay. So whenever you're looking at the King of Spades, those are kind of, and it's a fixed card, so there's no other card supporting it. So whenever you're looking at this, make sure this is we on the right age spread. Hold on. Okay, yeah, it's vertical. I was like, yeah, I'm tripping. So how do you get these cards under here? All right, and you may be asking that question as well. What is the difference between the top cards and the lower cards? All right. So the top cards that's up here is the main cards. I look at these as supportive underneath cards. These particular, the top cards is going to be, if you was here, you would read this from right to left. All right. I don't know if you can see it. If you see the 6 of diamonds, you'll start reading that way. You see the 5 of spades. All right. And then the next card is the ace of spades. Is it? No, I mean king of clubs. And then the ace of spades would be down here, displacing the 4 of hearts. So one good thing the software does have, you may not see like the whole thing, but it does show the supportive, the karma cards. So the cards that's underneath the cards that's at the top is going to be your karma cards. So that's going to show you whose space that card is sitting in. I was doing 69, 1 second. So that shows you whose space you're sitting in, which we call those the displacement cards. Why is this thing acting like this? So which we call those the displacement cards. So that's the card that you're displacing. Okay. So the 6 of diamonds, who is the 6 of diamonds displacing here? Displacing the 2 of clubs. So as you can see here, this is H plate 69. And you can see the displacement card is the 2 of clubs. Okay. And I will say the 2 of clubs is arguments, disputes. 2 of clubs can be a very highly sensitive card. It has the king of hearts that supports it. Okay, challenged by the ace of spades, so it can lead to secrecy as well. So family, friends, your personal relationship, sometimes it can go into isolation, but it's a really spiritual card as well. So that separation, sometimes you can be the lone out your family, right? Your family may not be your tribe, which this card is sitting in the 4 of hearts right now, which is the tribe taking care of the family. But the ace of spades is opposition to the 4 of hearts, actually, right? If you're looking at the grand solar spreads, but the ace of spades still deals with family and relationships, interpersonal relationships, and also deal with betrayal, right? Expectations within relationships. So spades are usually aces are usually self-centered and focus on themselves, the growth and development, the personal mission, right? So that's fine-tuning yourself, which is 2 of clubs is challenged. So the 2 of clubs I was talking about, we were talking about projection earlier. And what was the other thing I was trying to say? Projection. But not letting other people define you, right? Or not depending upon other people's definition of you, right? Because you're 2. You love to talk, you love to speak, So not going with other people's projection and those things can lead you into a debate. So that self-awareness, of knowing what you want, all of those particular things can lead to a conversation. It can be inspiring, or it can be on the other side, it can be defensive, right? So knowing how to conversate, not being defensive, knowing how to control your emotions comes with that particular card, the 2 of clubs, right? So with the 2 of clubs displacing the 4 of hearts, I'm sorry. With the six of diamonds displacing the two of clubs, she has to have. There's a conversation, right? What is the motive? You're in a high position. You just got elected mayor. There's four of the four major cities is all black mayors, right? So this is like a time. There's out of all the times, this is the time. You want to do what of your card? Take responsibility, financial responsibility, and you're displacing two of clubs, having a conversation. What is the conversation? Wages, because LA is on strike. So Karen Bass is in the news. We're talking about the government's politically. So she is, she got elected. Karen Bass. Earlier. Having a tough conversation is the two of clubs, right? So this is how cardology works. If you want to know, like, what do people have going on in their lives? The book, maybe it's because I'm an Earth sign. I know, right? That's that Venus, the material value. LA workers' strikes put Mayor Karen Bass in a tough situation. Mayor Karen Bass has stayed neutral in this year's Hollywood and LAUSD strikes. The LAUSD, we're talking about the education, right? And completing your education is the Six of Diamonds challenge. So education is going to be a huge part of her responsibility as well. All right. Gosh, I'm trying to log into my Instagram. Let me see if I can search it. It's on public. They're trying to play me like that. I'm not shut up in it. Here we go. I found myself. So when she got elected, just because of her number, right? I was saying things that she's going to have to take responsibility for. I'm going to show everything. Here we go. I got to lock it. All right. It wouldn't let me type things. This is the phone that I found. I thought I had that was going to get replaced. Authentication. All right, I'm almost in. No, I'm not. All right, now I'm almost in for real. So I want to go to a post that I posted about Karen Bass when she first got elected. To kind of show you the correlation. Because, like I said, sometimes you can look at these things like, I don't want to judge people. You know, that could be true. That may not be true. What is cardology? What do you use it for? How do you understand people? Why is it? I wouldn't say why is it important, but kind of sort of. You know, what do you find important, right? Share this tab. Okay, so when she first got elected, Six of Diamonds is the cheerleader as well, right? Which is funny. You know, some people may not look at these particular things, but I do. Oh, no, it's not one to go to. So you can talk about cheerleader, right? Of course, it's a huge blowhorn. You may not. Let me remove the banner. So yeah, it looks like she's out there cheerleading, right? I was just on the ice tripping. Okay, there we go. So Karen Bass's Six of Diamonds. This is when she first got elected, February the 20th, 2023. Karmic debt. So I was saying karmic debts bring a lesson on what's fair financially, responsibilities, strong writing, key on words. Watch what you say. Checks and balances, right and wrong values, right? So the thing about people going on strike, right, is like wages being paid fairly. You know, it's the responsibility of the Six of Diamonds. So when she gets in office, what is her energy initiating? You know, what is the energy around her as she's in office? What is the focus kind of being highlighted? You know, what will be her focus? You know, so we talk about using the energy, using the cards, and then you can kind of see it. That's why I say I get interested, because you can kind of see it play in people's life missions sometimes, and things that they're kind of meant to do, you know, things that you naturally do. You know, it's like finding your natural talent sometimes as well, right? So I said I haven't been following her, but that's her card. So let's see if she can bring financial balance, bring things back in order, and creating fair opportunities financially to this Two of Diamonds state. So the state of California is a Two of Diamonds by the date of their establishment, which you can look that up, right? So I do have a folder. I will make some of these, like, I guess, books and things available here pretty soon. I will post a link so y'all can get some more information as well. So sixes can get stuck and move slow, needing to change things up and create something new every once in a while. So Two of Diamonds already got the hustle. I was saying Tupac. So Two of Diamonds already got the hustle here, taking all our weaknesses and turning them into strengths. You know, so it's like I think that was probably one of the most powerful and impactful, I think, things that Pac said, right? Of his mission in life, because you look at people that come from lower neighborhoods, right? You look at people that come from ghettos. You look at people that come from the slums. You know, like all they need a lot of times is an opportunity. You know, they need a mission. They need to know what their strengths are. They need to know how to put their passions, you know, or maybe take their passion and add more discipline. You know, so not looking at it as a detriment. So taking taking all our weaknesses and turning them into strengths, right? So how do you empower people? Pay them, give them money. You know how much better people feel when they get paid to do something they love? You know, why would you be on the street robbing somebody? When you can make money doing something you love and something that you want to do. That is the only way to stop poverty, I think, you know, is to realign and rearrange value. And how do we gauge value, and what's the financial standard of value? Because like I said, King of Spades is the government, right? And sometimes And sometimes in my head, I'll be like, you sound like a dictator almost, right? The Ace of Diamonds, Hitler is the dictator. Aces are dictators. I have an Ace of Spades and Mercury. Not to say I know everyone's purpose better than they know it, but I think that's a part of maybe being a dictator is organizing. On the other end of the positive side is wanting to see and inspire people, wanting to help people, right? That's the other side of the having the 9 in Uranus, right? Of being socially aware, helping people, of not just being an Ace of Diamonds, a dictator as people may define it, right? So with that, what was I saying? So yeah, with that, using people strengths, and taking their weaknesses and turning them to strengths, and paying the people, making sure people are paid fairly. That's the whole California energy right now. Everybody's on strike. What is a strike? Things slow down financially, because you're not getting paid fairly. People quitting their jobs. So quitting is a 9 in clubs, giving up, not completing a mission, objective, whatever it may be. So this is February 20th, right? And when she came in office, I had no idea what was going to go. So you got the strength in numbers. We know who run the streets. So now just help some of these brothers get their money on. Now you got the power and knowledge to get them to use their strength to the maximum effect. So 9 of Clubs challenge to the 6 of Diamonds has a purpose to bring change or enlightenment when they grow mentally. It can be seen or it can be stuck. Either growing mentally and they're enlightening, or they're stuck in that place, right? So just get to the paperwork straight, and education on what's needed. So she needs to help people, enlighten people, and voice her opinion. Or is she going to be stuck? Like I said, if you don't use your knowledge of a 9 of Clubs, and then it's going to go too far. You're not going to be able to grow. Right. If you let things be stuck in your head, if someone doesn't go out and take the responsibility, imagine a man going out and not helping the community, not voicing his opinion, so how could you ever respect someone that has no opinion? They're not helping anyone. That's what 9s do. They give effortlessly because they're a eternal, well of information, light. They're here to enlighten people. So completing a field of education and knowledge is beyond important for them, the 6 of Diamonds in itself. So not just education, but just knowledge internally, just knowing how to help people grow, giving knowledge to other people. Graduation is necessary. Alignment, natural speakers, being a helping hand to others, right? So how is she? That's her responsibility, helping the community. So, but the 9s are humanitarians ultimately. So she sits spiritually in the 9 of Clubs space. That's her challenge, right? So that's a part of getting. It's like you go into somebody's house. I'm a 3 of Diamonds, and I have this creative, chaotic energy, and you have to sit in my house. So who's going to sit in my house? It has to be a stabilizing 6, right? That's the only person that can sit in my house and be sane. Well, not the actually it's the Queen of Diamonds sits in my house. I said 6, but the Queen of Diamonds. But that makes the 3 of Diamonds money hungry as well, right? So who else can actually go be crazy enough to do the things that the 3 of Diamonds want to achieve and desire? It has to be a Queen of Diamonds, which is financial wealth as well, but also comes with discipline, grooming in particular talent. So, but that's not about me. So the 6 of Diamonds is sitting in a 9 of Clubs space, right? But so natural speakers being helpful, that's like that 9 of Clubs energy. That if you ever met a 9 of Clubs, they're very spiritual oriented. They can be teachers, they can be actors, musicians. They sit in the Queen of Hearts space, so it can deal with women, sexual healing, trauma, So Pluto, sometimes is, and we look at it as such a bad thing, but it's a place of healing, defeating old habits and starting over and redefining what it is or whatever card may be there. So the Pluto card for the 6 of Diamonds. All right, so we're going into the Pluto card So the Pluto card is the Five of Hearts. So, but that's when you vibrate high. Other high is the Five of Hearts. So Pluto is homelessness. So other than the strike, the other thing she's going to have to deal with, which is I have to make sure I get a block for later because I got to get paid. This is Six of Diamonds week, right? I'm sorry, Amazon is my other part-time job I do, which y'all can make this my part-time job if y'all enjoy it. On YouTube, all you gotta do is click. Let me say that now. Let me campaign. Can I get a yeah, can I get a plug? Can I plug myself? All you have to do is plug. If you're into this information, if you're wanting to know more, just click like, click the like button, share the information, share with your friends, family, pick a card. If you don't know the cards, it's on my Instagram. So on my Instagram page, you can find all the birth dates for the card, with which my Instagram is RASHAD, the letter N, cards, CARDS. RashadnCards is my Instagram. So please go to Guided by the Cards as well, which is Gina's Instagram, and GWTS Family 1111, which is Grown with the Seasons, and that's Croatia's Instagram. So please go on there and let them know that you love the information as well, and you want to see them on here more also, because I just I'm not gonna say I wouldn't do it by myself, but I have a two hearts in Pluto, so what can you say? So partnerships is a good thing. I need to really work on that, right? So here we are. So yeah, so let them know that you love the information. Share their pages. It's not just about me, but the information itself is very informative. If there's anything that you may see that I need to change, let me know. I am open to change, right? If not, I'm stuck, right? The Six of Diamonds here, not being able to take in information. So that's the Nine of Clubs. Right? And the other side of the clubs is the challenge to bring in information, to learn, to complete their education. So it's not just education book and read, that's also information, advice, not being able to take advice from people, being stuck in your head. That's another thing with the Ten of Hearts I was saying earlier, is if they're not so stuck in their head, if they're not able to take any advice from people, if they're socially, or they're blocking their heart chakra, or they're not able to open up, they can't connect, it's, what are we talking about, right? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, is this about us, the people, or what? Said that is true. My Nana Club is going to be a teacher. Just signed up. Her next dope. See, yeah, they man, she's gonna flourish. In that field, because they're natural talkers. They love to connect with people. They're going to emotionally connect. Why is the Nana Club going to emotionally connect? Because they're sitting in the Queen of Hearts spot. Right. And I was talking about connecting with women, being changed. Nines is all about change, initiating change, not just internal, but also external change in your environment. It's like walking into an office, like, I don't like the way this looks. Like, this is not my standard. So standards and change, all of those, without standards, we want to, like, it's like you can't keep the chicken and throw away the egg. Like, without standards, there's no way that we can get things done. There's no bar that's being set. There's no success. So sometimes there's arguments about standards. There's healthy standards as well. We have to think about these nines and change and these things as healthy things as well. But it's letting go. Letting go is part of change. So letting go of the old, in with the new. That's what a strike is, right? Letting go of the old, in with the new, So making sure we stay the course and complete the course, right? So they have to be open to change. She just went through a first Saturn return also last year in February. That Saturn return with the Nine of Clubs. We may look at that. And Gina started off with giving readings and offering readings. I don't say she offers, just someone offered their birthday and we did a reading. So I do want to make a day maybe just dedicated to maybe doing live readings, just a few. We do that on Instagram. So on Clubhouse, maybe should that be the Clubhouse things? That's what Clubhouse should be used for, and so the audio would be used for like readings, I guess. So either or. So, but let me finish. I don't keep you all here too long. So completing a field of education, being, like I said, not rejecting information. So growing, having growth, within those areas. So graduation is necessary, alignment, natural speakers, being a helpful hand to others, but it also means homelessness. That's where I was going. So the Five of Hearts and Pluto for the Six of Diamonds is homelessness, right? So tackling the issues and changing those stigmas and areas also, that is going to be her thing. Why does the Five of Hearts deal with homelessness? It has the Queen of Spades and Uranus. It sits on the Four of Diamonds, which is a solid foundation, so which is an inheritance of property as well, values. So diamonds are fluid. What do your family value? We also gravitate value to money, right? So what is the focus form? The diamonds is clarity, right? That's why we love diamonds. There's a clarity, there's a purpose, right? So they're here to be I don't want to say beat down, but they're here to gain and go through rough times and tough times to gain. Like, this is be very clear in your intentions, because you can be very fluid, So diamonds sometimes have the roughest times out of all the cards, I think, because they can be very fluid, and finding their focus and really priming themselves, So if you are in the field of serving those less fortunate, homelessness, it is a good time to check my story. So I'm going to my stories, but yeah, so that is a very important part. So now we see Karen Bass now, right? So now we're at August the 11th, 2023. LA County social workers go on massive strike in LA. How long has LA, Los Angeles, been on strike? Well, actually, I can answer that myself. The school was on strike. LA schools, like maybe around, when did spring break? The schools went on strike around spring break in LA. So spring break is around what time? March 25th, end of March. Yeah. So around the end of March. Where's the little arrow at? Just at? Like, this is so weird, My friend uses Instagram on the computer, and she said it's the best thing. I don't see. Like, this is frustrating. February the 20th was when she got elected. So you can see, not even a month and 5 days, the schools went on strike, right? So that is the energy. That is how you look at the energy of people, and what they bring to the table. Who are you hiring? What is the energy that you're bringing into your office building? And not to just get stuck on that, because there's time cycles. It's like her age period as well. So, of course, we were just looking at her age period, is dealing with the King of Spades, right? So she can't be fixed and focused and stagnant. She has to deal with change and growth within herself. It's her mission. So let's go back to her age spread, shall we? So let's go to that life spread. I can wrap it up a little bit. Dealing with change, right? So, go back to the earth. I'm sorry. So Mayor Karen Bass has stayed neutral in this year's Hollywood and LAUSD strikes. Is that smart for her to stay neutral right now? She's displaced in the Two of Clubs, and we know the Two of Clubs is challenged by the Ace of Spades. And the long range is what? The Ace of Spades for her this year. So the Ace of Spades is dealing with personal self, your intention, your attitude. How do you attack something? Being a leader of, like I said, of radical change with the Ace of Spades. You actually want to. Well, the change for her would be the job. She got the job, right? So that's a major change for her at 69 to become a mayor. So congratulations on that. So as far as just the Ace of Spades tackling as well metaphysically, it's a more metaphysical, purposeful card. Understanding one's purpose. What are you destined to do as well with the Ace of Spades. So the Ace of Spades would be in her 7 year. And so that's how you get the long range for that. So she's 60. She's 69. The Ace of Spades is a long range. I just want to know what's going on in the job. So that's why I would, because you see the Ace of Spades long range. This is her career, her path, dealing with change, transformation, death and rebirth. That's the Ace of Spades, right? Is a death and a rebirth personally, and that's another reason why twos have to protect themselves and not let people project onto them, and not being too dependent upon other people's validation. That's the word I'm looking for. I've been looking for that word all day. Validation. Twos sometimes need validation, but not being dependent. That's dependency. That's a form of dependency. Is being dependent upon a validation, right? So you have to have some type of self-awareness, knowing how to stand alone. That's what Croatia was speaking about earlier. I'm looking for that word earlier, but you have to have some type of self-awareness where you're not needing to be validated. It's okay to have the conversation. It's okay to learn from other people, because there's another thing. There's 52 cards, so we're learning that within validation and recognition, there's also archetypes that we're living out as well. So, and trying to understand who you are and where you are in these things here on Earth, it's all part of the process. I don't have good Aquarius placements. I don't. I'm Aquarius rising, by the way. So that's just, I don't. It's just me. Can you tell? Yeah. 69. I'll tell you, if it wasn't for the cards, I don't know. I would be lost. That my mind be everywhere. 69 is the last ages of 60 of that 7 year. So the Ace of Spades would be in Neptune for her then. Let me just make sure. Yeah, she's displacing the eight of diamonds. So the 8 of diamonds gets government position. So for a 7 year, if you're looking at a 7 year, you'll be betting on politics, right? Like, what is this person like likelihood, and what do they have in their life personally? The 8 of diamonds, you're getting pushed to a higher position in life, right? Attaining higher wages, wealth, validations of 3 of diamonds and 3 of hearts. Capital and lowercase. So there's also looking at the spelling. I want to say within cardology as well, if you're not aware. So the way that I look at this energy is like, how does this energy make me feel? I can say validation is a huge thing for me. I have to run away from it. Man, that hit me. I almost had a moment with you. We almost had relationships almost changed. But yeah, because I have an Ace of Spades, right? So even talk about validation, right? We're talking about the 2 of clubs being validated by other people. You have to look at 3 of diamonds, most definitely. 3 of hearts is Saturn is the 3 of diamonds, so that comes together. Those cards are like peanut butter and jelly, right? 3 of hearts, 3 of diamonds. Being wavering, not being self-fulfilled, like a confidence, doubt, fear, come from those particular cards. So when someone needs to be validated, what are they looking for? They need a boost. They need an extra pat on the back, someone to let them know what they're doing is right or wrong. There's nothing wrong with that because you're growing, but not being stuck in that, is the key. So for her this year, right? knowing her purpose. That comes with. That's why I said sometimes there is validation within having the right people, right grooming, the right people around you, to help validate you, or the right judges of character, which are elders, someone that has mastered or been in a particular science. That's what you're really looking for is a mentor, ultimately. You know, so mentorship. So so let's look at see what the software says as well. But let's finish this article and give us some hints. There's one particular article I do want to get into. So she says she wants to stay neutral. Is that a good thing? Because she's a 6 of diamonds. You can't be stuck. Staying neutral is okay if there's no need for change. If you don't want to get into the middle of it, but no, you're the head of state. And his latest documentary, Dr. Steve James, tells the story of Ted Hall, a physicist who handed atomic bomb plans over to Soviet Union. His motive, compassion for the Soviet people. So I said, purpose. What is your purpose? Compassion for the Soviet people. Some of today's most influential voices in the food world are home cooks on TikTok, where creators show vulnerability and leave out the heavy editing. I guess he's validating why they're on strike and why they need higher wages. But I wouldn't consider TikTok. That's not well. Yeah. But yeah, so wages is a huge. Let's see in somewhere else. And they work on 1 day strike. That's one strike. One topic. Actually, I read it in the newspaper. I don't know which newspaper it was. I can just go off here. But the newspaper was saying that Karen Bass said that she's going to. She feels like attacking homelessness is more important than attacking the wages for the SAG. She doesn't feel like that's important at all. Fair and being equitable. So she's a 6 of diamonds, right? Being fair, paying fair wages. With the karmic debts, bringing a lesson on what's fair financially. I do not want to be the I told you so guy. I hate being that guy. I really do. But when the cards do it, they told you so. I didn't say it. So it's not me. All right. What? That be trying to trick you. I can't get news. All right. The news gotta get paid. All right. They gotta get paid too. Los Angeles Daily News. But that is where I seen it. Let me see if I get it. All right, are we in here now? They're gonna let us stay. Oh gosh, so I know what I can do though. That's kind of messed up. Is this illegal? Am I stealing information? Actually, if you've seen the documentary I seen last night, any information that's public, it's technically not stealing because it's on the public web and it accidentally got left on the public web. Right. That is crazy to me. That is why I have to really protect my information. Oh no, that sounds like that. Broke the phone that I lost this week. I have a conspiracy about that FYI too. Just stuff don't get lost. But let's see. Go back. Goodbye. These kids these days, too smart for their own good. That's what they mean. All right. We always find a loophole. LACD workers launch 1 day strike alleging bad faith contract talks. What is the twos? What are sixes? Contracts. Oh, it's still in here. Okay, issues new statement on SAG, AFTRA, and WGA strikes with more explicit case for fair and equitable contracts. So Bass has about, Bass has avoided overtly taking sides in the work stoppage, at least in the way that some other Southern California politicians have. For example, Rep. Adam Schiff, who is running for U.S. Senate, walked the picket lines on Monday, and one of his rivals, Rep. Katie Porter, previously was on the line with writers. Bass released a statement on Friday calling for sides to come to the table. In her new statement, she makes the case for why writers and actors need a minimum level of compensation to make ends meet. Okay, the headlines didn't. I interpreted it maybe wrong. She makes the case for why writers and actors need a minimum level of compensation to make ends meet, as we all do. And it's not the whole California, everybody. Like, I ain't gonna lie, she needs to attack that in every type of situation, because the minimum wage and living of California, let's see what California minimum wage is. It is not fair. Let's just say that. She's six diamonds. It may be her. She may be the person get it done, right? So minimum wage of California. $15.50. $15.50. Let's see. Then we're gonna look at the rent. So $15.50. It's probably less than 30,000 up, right? I know it is. 300. I mean, we know nobody really like 360. Right? It's 2,400 a month times 12. 29, right? Under 30,000. The lowest rent average, I can do that top of my head because I've been looking, right? In California, a studio is around $1,200, $1,200 to $1,300 a month. A good location, maybe, right? A studio, not a one bedroom, not a two bedroom, a studio. Times 12 is $1,560. So you're spending half of your money on rent. Where's the fair and equitable living in California? How is that fair? Even if you do $20 more, I mean, even if you do like $5-6 more, let's say you get $20 an hour, you're still at $30,000. And the average rent, like I said, is like $1,200-$1,300. I mean, there's probably other places and areas, but still, like, why are we spending over half of our wages in rent? You haven't even bought no food. I haven't even bought no food. I spent half of my money on rent. I mean, of course, you said it's $2,000 a month. After that, then what you got? Another $1,800 left. Food average in California is going to cost you $500 to $300 average. You're spending, like, you go out to a restaurant, you're going to spend $20 to $15 a day. So there you're looking at $600, $500. Yo, am I crazy? This can't be fair. Like, so yeah, she's a six of diamonds. Yeah, that is her energy. Fair and equitable. This is not fair, Miss Karen. I'm sorry to tell you. So something has to be done, yo. So did I go on strike? Yes, I did. I did go on strike. You know, I'm gonna go out there. I may go out there in March again. To be honest, they was trying to talk about, certain. One of the conversations in SBR in LA is a social site in here in LA. They was saying that one thing I don't like about us sometimes as my race, black people, I'm talking to us right now, is we like to choose sides and pick sides when we want to do stuff. Um, we want everybody to support us, but we don't want to support nobody else. Yeah, it's understandable that maybe certain people, a lot of people came in, took jobs. We didn't get certain jobs, but we're in this day in society where you gotta use your nepotism. You have to use your advantages for you as well. Everybody's selfish, so if we're using these, if we have the same resources, because there are a lot of I ain't gonna say a lot of what I've seen. There's a lot of black women in the education system here in LA. And so the responsibility is on us too, like as the people, speaking from us as a people. The responsibility is on us first and foremost, you know. So we have to make sure that we're not mad and denying or that we're in the streets too. Not saying people aren't, but that one post was like, so you're not going to go on the streets so you feel like people took your jobs, you don't feel like that you marched before, you should stop now. I come from a lady that came from the 80s and 90s and SNCC. She feel like our generation don't do enough. She feel like we're lazy, to be honest. As far as like standing up and speaking up for stuff, we're not organized. We don't do anything. Like we have one organization implement student lunches for the country. Like what have our generation done? What have we changed? So you know, but sometimes we do sit on those high horse, and we are kind of privilege. With privilege comes laziness, you know. So yeah, she can't change the country, but she can change LA. LA can be a starting point. So there definitely needs to be higher wages, and she has to attack that along with homelessness and those things as well. You know, I think it's one of the responsibilities of the Six of Diamonds. You know, you can't deny the change that has to come. You can't deny the growth. That's what we've been kind of talking about. Letting old habits and patterns go. You know, if you don't complete a task, you know, what did you actually do? Did you complete your mission? The sixes are supposed to be mission oriented, right? Like, so if you haven't done your job, are you taking responsibility? That is a six, taking responsibility, right? So yeah, that's what I was pointing to, you know, when Daisy got elected. That's the energy of the Six of Diamonds, and are we not seeing it play out? Am I crazy, or is this article fair? You know, but Los Angeles is experiencing a summer of struggle to make ends meet in all industries: education, hospitality, goods delivery, and entertainment. Angelenos deserve fair contracts, she said. Whether you are a writer who has been on strike for more than 72 days or an actor who has been on strike for 72 hours. Wages and health benefits to afford housing. Like I said, she has to attack that industry. One reason she has to attack housing, the Six of Diamonds has the Four of Spades and Mercury as well, right? So no matter the chaos, whatever, the six coming into stability. If the home is chaotic, they have to find a way to find peace. The ones who don't, you know, are going to go crazy mentally, right? So afford benefits to, let me start. Wages and health benefits to afford housing, food, and the basic necessities to survive should be a minimum requirement and discussion. I'm telling you, we surviving. I'm not at minimum. I have multiple jobs. Oh, my Amazon designing in. I gotta make this. Yeah, that's the third. I got multiple jobs to survive out here. Like, it should not take 3 jobs. Like, think about a single mother. How could a single parent survive in a place like this? 2:00. Will I make it? No. How would I survive? It's 1:20. How would I survive? You know, or a single mother survive? Like, that's what, like I said, they want to be the father of the household. They want to be the king of spades. They want to be the daddy. They want to be the parent. You know, and they're not doing a good job of it, even if they do. Like, they leave you in a dependent situation. You know, nobody wants a bad man, but we hire one every year for election. We hire
Nobody wants to be in a relationship with a bad man. Everybody wants to talk about men, but nobody's talking about these bad presidents, and we keep electing them. But we think we got good choice of character and relationships. We want to talk about relationships, and the relationship we have with our presidents is horrible. It's disgusting. Gosh, I'm sorry. All right, let me stop. But that's her responsibility, right? She's a six of diamonds. Being fair, wages. That is her tack. That is her mission in life, right? This is the energy that is showing, right? A strong business sector is essential for our city to become affordable for working families once again. Man, all right, Karen. In this newspaper, the reason I didn't cut her no slack, in the newspaper, she said it may have been an old clip, may have been propaganda. That them people may not like it. But she said she may attack homelessness more than any other sector, which is true. But that industry only exists because the money is not going in the right places. It's not because the infrastructure and the people aren't there. I was in Bed Bath and Beyond. Would you believe that the girl I was talking to was in the housing sector of homelessness? She was a social worker, right? So she was a social worker, and she had to leave the industry. She said it was corrupt. Like people really don't, they really don't want to help people for real, you know. The wait list and all those things, like they're hiring. Trump is right. Bang, Trump is right. They're hiring more FBI agents, but there's probably a 2,000 to 3,000 people behind because they can't process the paperwork fast enough and people are homeless. Not because you don't got the space for the housing, but because there's a waiting list of a lottery. You got to win the lottery or be homeless. What's the odds? The sense that a housing lottery, okay, yeah, you're giving out homes, but you got to wait for it. You got to darn there get lucky to even get it. The system. Talking to my friend, he comes from the system. Another person, victim of the system. He became homeless because his landlord kicked him out of suspicious activity because he had too many people. I go to somebody's apartment yesterday. She didn't want the landlord to see us coming up to our apartment. The people here will kick you out because of a doormat in front of your apartment. I'm not saying it's that cruel. Maybe I'm being a little dramatic. But anyway, but yeah, in certain situations it was crazy. But they kicked this man out, didn't give him housing. He didn't know where to go. He had nothing to do. He didn't know the right resources. He's new to the area. Long story short, he ends up homeless on drugs. He gets to the streets and finds out 60%, 80, 70% of the people that are sane, not to say everybody is insane, but the people that are insane and that's out there got pushed because of affordability, because they couldn't afford or because their apartment or something changed within their life and they didn't meet the wages. Something changed in their apartment situation and they didn't, and now they're waiting on a lottery or something to help them that's not going to help them. So it's the system, you know. I can't change the world, you know, but I can maybe spark the brain that does, right? So this is a historic inflection point for our city as our entertainment industry experienced economic pressures and business uncertainty. It started with the education. That's who went on strike first. In the education system, a fair and equitable solution must be reached, right? So, yeah, you can see like homelessness and all of those things, as I was saying in my first post, February 20th, of what she has to attack, you know. So it's being shoved in her face. In a statement released by her office, Bash says, with more than 100,000 workers now participating in unprecedented strike, it is clear the entertainment industry is a historic inflection point. What about the education? She didn't talk about when was this article written because they went on strike too. July. So this is recent. This affects all of us and is essential to our overall economy.
I call upon all sides to come to the table and work around the clock until an equitable agreement is reached. This is an urgent issue that must be resolved, and I will be working to make it happen. I do not know, there's public information, the agreement that she came with the education system. Let's see if that's Googleable. Everything is Googleable, right? Increase wages by 30%. So that's not 50. So maybe an extra 10 to 15,000 at 35,000. Still not enough. Make sure my math. So the school district reached a deal to raise wages by 30%. People, I hate the way that's a mind trick as well. To throw percentages around like it's a big number. Oh, it's 30%. 30 is a lot. Know what came to my mind? The New York accent, the Italian. Out of here. $32,000. That include cafeteria workers, janitors. But imagine if your kids went to school, they didn't get no lunch. It was poop in the bathroom everywhere. You know, I work with kids, so right now in LA, tagging in your major cities, I don't know, but tagging, that's one thing that's like totally different. I come from a small town. Tagging wasn't a thing where I come from. But here it is. The bathrooms are horrible. The janitors, those people are working around the clock to keep the bathrooms clean. You know? And not just that, they're keeping your kids safe. You don't think that those people don't go outside of their job to try titles? 9 times out of 10, you know how many times I was supposed to work with one student and I end up working with 10 kids in the classroom because of a substitute, or just the kids like me or something, you know, or they gravitated to what I said and not the teacher. So just me being a BI, I'm supposed to be a behavior interventionist with one kid. I end up working with 10, you know, or a majority of the classroom, you know. So it's the $32,000 a year to affect a child's life, to deter them from suicide sometimes. To deter a child from suicide, $32,000 a year. But the person that increased the cost of your food and was a director of Whole Foods is getting paid $80,000 to $100,000 a year. Who sits in the desk all day, doesn't talk to no one. I'm not saying that serving food is making major decisions over industries, but you know, these people are, you know, a lot of times elderly as well. You know, they have to make a living, right? And plus the just in comparison of the how much it takes to live here is around $15,000 to $16,000. So 32 you're still looking at, you know, half of your wages gone just in living. So that's what they came to agreement. So it'll be interesting to see what type of fair and equitable rights are being held in California going forward, right? That is her life path. That's the energy. That's my little Karen Bass. Let's before I head out, I want to look at, I'll show you what the this is Seven Thunders. I will go to her life just to see. I can go completely within her life, right? I'll just do a little summary. So we'll go through her life path just on here, right? So this, I give readings through the software, more of a reflection and a check on where I'm at mentally. I watch a lot of different people. I gain information. 6 of Diamonds, right? 9 of Clubs. Never stop gaining information. Always give to gain more as well, or you're gonna lose it, right? So that's one of the laws. So the 4th space in Mercury period, right? So this card may bring an unexpected or sudden satisfaction or resolution of some matter, perhaps related to your work or health. This satisfaction could also be related to a short trip, communication, education, or a relative of yours. It may be somewhat short-lived satisfaction. This basically indicated a settling of affairs in the areas indicated. The only negative effect of this influence would be stubbornness of the mind. Right? That's what I was saying earlier. You can't be stubborn. You have to take on other people. Have to be coachable. That's one of those things, right? You have to be coachable. So this is such a powerful and stabilizing influence that it would produce a very good result during this period. So Mercury can be fleeting, right? I was talking about. Make sure it doesn't click on that now. Trying to click on the King of Hearts. So I'm talking about the kings can be archetypes as far as like characters, people in your life, role models, So definitely a King of Hearts, someone you respect, you look up to, a role model you see as a kid, someone's influential, upon your life, or a mentor. So the King of Hearts and Mercury, that can be very important, how the father is someone to show you values and the love that you get as well within the family. So here, this period could be spending time with a man who is kind, intelligent, a good influence. He may come in and out of your life quickly, right? That's the Mercury. He may not be in their life. I was saying that's why the King of Hearts has the 6 of Diamonds in Neptune, taking financial responsibility. That's why they would have the baby father taking responsibility of the child. It is your responsibility. Child support is not a debt. It is not supposed to be something that someone should tell you to collect. I'm sorry. But you have a lot of emotional power and charm now that can help you meet new friends or bring your rewards in any business or work that involves dealing with people. Your ability to communicate in a loving manner can bring many rewards, right? Who are you rewarding? You're not even rewarding your child. How you rewarding him? You're not in his presence. Okay. So you have a lot of emotional powers using your charm. So 6 of Diamonds they can be actors, entertainers. They're very happy people. I love them. What's going on, Nick? I've not seen you there. 6 of Diamonds isn't fair until later. They're not. Until it's for them. When I went to Sacramento, I wanted to cry. She can balance both. Not you wanted to cry. They are not fair. Or maybe it's just my Libra speaking. Yeah, Libra wanna. Y'all can tell my play in the middle. Y'all learn that, right? There shouldn't be a price on it. It really shouldn't on education. Definitely know how much mental energy it takes to help a child. It's very draining. I don't know if anyone has ever worked in the childcare field or worked with children. My first day working with children, I was a former athlete. I took a nap in the middle of the day. It was just draining. At 12 o'clock was lunch. I got there at 7:30, 7:45. By 12 o'clock, I was beat. Then going to a zoo, you don't like going to a zoo with your own kids. Think about 10 kids. Like, come on, man. I seen a TikTok, this lady looking like she was prepping to go to war just to go to the zoo with her kid. She had them on a leash and a stroller. Think about it, I can't put no leash on your child. Like, we don't have strollers. Like, come on, man. That junk is draining. They're draining. I was 23 at the time. And they were working me worse than my coaches. So yes, that's what it is, draining. Yeah. So we all have the 4 of spades in Mercury this year. Right? So let's see how that works out. Where are we going to be? That's the conversation in July. How many days has it been since the 4th? 30. So we're about 39, 52. So 13. All right. So as far as the we're almost out of this Mercury period, but we can see why this is gaining a lot of attention because it's in the U.S. Mercury period for the year. Then it's her Mercury for life, right? So she has to bring some type of attention to, the workforce. That's labor, taking responsibility, home, family, business, four sets of values, right? It's the two four spaces where the spiritual and the physical come into meeting, right? So it's going to be very important. This is also kind of looking at the travel industry. Would be kind of interesting. See, I'm thinking about stocks now, but I am a former educator. I can relate. It is tiresome, man. You definitely don't. I haven't been in it. I've been in it for a while. Like not even trying to be in it. I have a son in the fifth house. Sun and Jupiter is in the fifth, if I'm not mistaken. Depending on which system you're looking at, right? Yeah, one system is Sun and Jupiter, and then the other one is Jupiter is in the sixth, but Sun is in the fifth, and Mercury is in the fifth as well. No, you're a jack. You just got young energy. You can keep up. It takes a jack to work with kids. We were talking about it earlier. Gina was talking about working with kids and children, right? So it's the plight of the jacks. I need young energy around you. So let me go. So this is her life path. Let's take a look at some other things in her life path. Keep going. Venus is the 10 of hearts. So we're talking about social success and rewards around the 10 of hearts. People, talking about Michael Jackson having to play the stage, may not even be desiring to be on the stage, but definitely have to play the stage and be relatable to people, right? Parties, we're talking about parties, social clubs, right? Could be that energy as well. Fraternity, sororities, can be those tens also, So let's see if she was ever part of a fraternity and sorority. A lot of times politicians are, right? Karen. Probably the AK. So, no. Yeah. Karen Bass. Yeah, she was part of Delta Sigma Theta. Karen Bass is the first physician assistant to be elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. Bass was elected 2010 and is currently serving third. Let me make sure they're not just posting her. Yeah, so she is a distinguished sister service. She's in this picture. Maybe I'm missing. No. No, she's talking about. Maybe she's not. She might not be. But anyway, the 10 of hearts is Ten of Hearts, Ten of Diamonds is social success. Using your network, and your network is is equal to your net worth. Is definitely the Ten of Diamonds, right? So being a social influence, wealth, money is kind of what we were talking about earlier, right? And having ambition and drive. So a lot of times you'll see the Six of Diamonds in the NFL. They want the success, they want the money. All right. Their relationships, Three of Hearts. Once they get the money, they may go get a white girl. I'm sorry. I'm just playing. But it has the Three of Hearts in March. The Three of Hearts designates leading. And why did I say that? Yeah, I was just playing. But the Three of Hearts is talking about different people, races, opening up to different social groups, understanding and communicating with people from different places in which you may be comfortable with, right? So also understanding everything doesn't last for people forever. People may come in and out of your life, right? So creating new experiences for yourself as well. So without nothing can be new unless it's foreign. I'm sorry. So you might go get foreign. I'm sorry. So yeah, that is the Three of Hearts. Let's see what they say. Excuse me. During this period, much of your aggressive energies are directed. And also make sure you're not confused. This energies are directed towards love. This is a highly creative influence that could help create more friends or lovers. If that is what you desire, it can be a long love triangle card too. Six of Diamonds in relationships. We already know. Five of Hearts. They can go ghost. All right. You may find that you are impatient in love, but the energy can help you go out and meet many new people for work or business. And you know that person and be like, it was a business. I was out doing business, babe. He wasn't lying. Like, he might not have been lying in the Six of Diamonds case. He had the Three of Hearts and Merc. He was out doing business. Literally. So this is an influential or creative self-expression. Let others know who you are and what you think. Yeah, Six of Diamonds, let us know. Your other Mars may tell you who and what you are either feeling indecisive or creative about. It also can tell you the outcome of any creative pursuit during this period. So remember that the 4, 8, and 10s as of other Mars cards will foretell very good results and happy outcome during this period. So yeah, so that goes to Three of Hearts with the 10 of Diamonds, meeting your soulmate, maybe the one that you cheated with at a party. I'm sorry. Maybe because they got a little bit more money. I'm not going to say that. I'm just playing. Someone was like, just give it to me raw. Not pause. Like as far as the information. Don't sugarcoat it, right? Dang. I can go everywhere. The Eight of Spades in the Jupiter period. This is one of the strongest symbols of business and personal power and success. At this time, you will either expand your operations or make some invaluable connection with some large company that increases your own financial power. Appreciably, yeah. Like this is also one of the largest signs of good health and recovery from any and all problems you may be facing. You can overcome all obstacles now through honest effort and integrity. So here it's saying that now you fight for something that's worth fighting for, that is like I feel like the Jupiter Eight of Spades, the Eight of Diamonds, the Six of Diamonds, they love to talk, they love to debate. They are definitely fighters, right, for a cause. And the Eight of Spades can be also bullies as well, right? So you can find Six of Diamonds in good health if they, just put, I don't even say minimal effort, but fighting against the laziness, right? So you can actually see that, things actually worked out better than what they I thought, right? It was what I was kind of talking about earlier, So it's a good sign, that you can overcome any particular issues. The education challenged by the King of Clubs, what's holding you back, knowledge, information, not having enough, needing a certain skill or expertise. So gaining mentors or someone to help you out in those particular areas, you know. So if the six of diamonds isn't receptive, you can see they can probably be very combative, you know, and maybe very fixed as well. So yeah, that is the six of diamonds. I'm not going to end with one of the biggest results card from the Pluto, the five of hearts. Let me touch on that before I go. Is homelessness, relationships, emotions, escapism is the fives, right? Wanting to go and just have fun and entertain yourself. All right, not taking responsibility of the home. So let's see what they say. This is likely to be a major change in your relationships or marriage this year that is causing you to make other changes in your life. As one of the divorce cards, this can indicate actual separation from a long-term relationship. Not just to scare you, because the five of hearts can also be marriage as well. But there's a sense of responsibility and knowing how to entertain yourself within your relationship, knowing how to go out and explore, knowing what your partner wants, having a set of values that's solid, you know, within your partnerships where you can have that freedom, but stand on that solid, the solid values. But the five of hearts, as far as work ethic, money, you know, those things can be a challenge within the home sometimes as well. So this is probably something that you really want or need, which is money, you know, really want or need on a deep level, but it is not always an easy process to go through. On a deep level, you're going through a change in what you want and need in the terms of affection and partners. This may have created a restlessness and that you initiated either a lot of travel or looking for someone new in your life. And that's what I was saying, right? Earlier, travel, knowing how to have fun, knowing places, things, environments. Who has that? And Mars would be the Ace of Hearts, right? And the Ace of Diamonds, Venus. So new, right? So look at the cards that are talking about new, that create new things. Where do they have this card? So someone new, you know, often the very act of ending a relationship can be a very arduous and drawn out affair. Okay, let's see. It's sometimes difficult to end something that we have spent so much time creating. Ain't that's the truth? That's why the nines are pretty tough. It's not an easy road. You just don't get to a nine. And it felt like a real nine because it was over a night. No, that the real nine is something that's been there for a long time. Something that took an emotional toll and you built a connection. You know, that's when you have those nines in your spread. That's what that is. And sometimes people may have the nines, they may build that fast, you know, they may build that quick with you. They may be able to relate with you, you know, and take on those emotions, being empathetic in some type of way. That's the humanitarian, right? He's empathetic. So yeah, so let's look. One thing else I would want to show you. That's crazy. That Google thing, I gotta watch out, man. It's where the nine of hearts, the five of hearts has a nine in this spread. Mercury, Venus, Mars. All right. So we kind of talked about that in the five of hearts video, maybe. I don't know. We may not have talked about that enough. So another person that has that pretty hard is the reward card. The three of clubs. It has it in Venus. I mean Mercury. So that is, I believe that's going to be all. This is probably the longest. We went 3 hours today. So I appreciate if you stay here this whole time. You're amazing. You're a genius. If you was able to keep up with us, that means you're advanced because no one hardly likes to probably stay and fully in tune. I really appreciate you staying in here because y'all are the best. And of course, as far as I can probably stay on here forever as well. But definitely hit me up again. Please, if you want this more, if this helps you in any type of way. Sometimes I don't place value on this as much as I should, you know, because I just see it how it values in my life. So it's like, I know I talk to just immediate people, but you know, let me know. I love feedback. Let me know if it's worth me even being up here. And if it's not worth being up here, then you're not going to share it. You're not going to talk about it. So let me know that it's valuable. Share it, talk about it, click the like button. You know, if you're watching from YouTube, comment, whatever you need to do to get the information out. If you want to join me, please do. You have questions, please ask me. And I'm trying to see another day outside of just me, Gina, and Madeline, to do stuff like this as far as people, places, things, and events. There is a particular blog post maybe that could help and help with the process of that, of picking out information that people like to see. But I don't want to be just the person that does what I think people like to see, which that is journalism these days. And it's because journalism should be reporting information and news about the public, society that changes our lives. That's important, you know. Like I just got a whole list of my old. I used to work at a radio station. We used to broadcast Democracy Now. I believe it may have been NPR. So different, like governmental and reflective news sites and journalists, underground journalism locations. So yeah, if you just let me know so I can know any questions. So I won't keep you on here too long just babbling about that. All right, have a nice day. The Rashad, RashadnCards. Cards. All right. So again, please like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. See you all later. Appreciate Nick, J-Lo. Love you all. Yeah. Is it worth it? It is worth it. Thank you. She said, testimony, it is worth it. Yes, it's different. This was helpful. Thank you. See, that's what I need. Talking about validation, and y'all threw it down as validation. I do need validation. I do need it. I'm sorry. All right, talk to y'all later.